75 years old, and I still wake up with a little guy saluting me.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy.
You wanted this, right? You wanted the real deal? That's what this is. Wake up. You're in the middle of it.
You better wake up and listen to what you're saying.
Which is a morning show. Wake up.
What the hell? Wake up, everyone.
All right, as we wake up with you on this Thursday morning, we are back in downtown Indianapolis on Monument Circle in the DriveHubler.com studio. This is the Wake Up Call, KB and Andy, and that means an off day for the Indianapolis Colts. They'll be back to practice earlier tomorrow, so 9 a.m. start time Friday. Andy, we'll be out there actually only 2 more days. I was thinking about this on the drive in.
I'm sad. Come on.
So the back half of the training camp schedule, it gets a little more afternoon, evening-y, if you will. They'll go Sunday afternoon. They'll go Monday afternoon. We'll be out there for morning sessions on Wednesday and Friday next week. And then 2 weeks from today, it's it. I mean, 2 weeks from today is the final joint session with the Arizona Cardinals, and those are night practices. A week from Wednesday, and then again 2 weeks from today. And that would be closing the book on the Colts' 12 practice day. 5 down, 7 to go from Grand Park.
Well, yeah, good morning to you, and a good morning. It's nice to see Mark Dykton's smiling face this morning. KB did walk in for everyone that wants to know and said, hey, where's the Olympic golf?
Immediately screamed at me.
And he
I was
immediately
like, good morning to
demanded,
you
put
too.
the golf channel on.
You know, Mark was watching. Was that shooting? Was that
It was archery.
rifling?
Archery.
Yeah. Did you guys see the dude from Turkey had his hand in his pocket as
Oh,
he
yeah.
was going through the
No
shooting
protective
display?
lenses.
I was going to bring him up during our Olympic coverage, if you will, when Mark plays the fancy music during the checkdown. Yeah, there's a guy from Turkey. He just walks up and boom, just has his gun, I guess, closes one eye and takes a shot. Everyone else had all these magnifying glasses on and everything else. But
not to go down
everybody
a
else
hole.
looked like they're in Rainbow Six or something,
Yeah,
and he just walked up like
exactly.
off the street.
That's a Tom Clancy novel for
Not to
those
go-
scoring at home.
Not to go down a rabbit hole, but are the shooting contestants in the Olympics, do they all have to fly private?
Well, I mean, they probably get some sort of exemption, don't they, going through an airport? I don't know. It's a great question.
I mean, sounds like hell with TSA
Well,
trying to explain to them, yeah, I'm in the Olympics.
I'm sure you've done this before. Have you ever flown with, like, the Comrex, the remote radio equipment
I have,
before?
And yes,
Yeah.
I have been
In a Pelican
pretty much
case?
searched head to toe. Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you guys. You know, I was telling KB right before we came on the air that I'm kind of missing the dew and the morning sunrise with Kevin Bowen and Jack Johnston, our engineer, or Jack Johnson as I call him. You know, we've done that the last several mornings here. So the sun coming up over the goalpost and the
artsy pictures.
Yeah, the
you are
artsy
missing.
pictures. And, now we're here in the bunker, ready to give you some sports talk radio.
EJ Speed, Andy Sweeney's unapologetic favorite player.
Yes.
He's going to join the show. We recorded with him after practice yesterday before Mother Nature unleashed a bit up there in Westfield. We'll play that coming up around 8 o'clock. We'll obviously hit on the Olympics from yesterday and Tyrese Halliburton getting his juice box from Steve Kerr. And
Jason Tatum.
them playing South Sudan. Again, Team USA pretty much in full control of that one. We'll have one more game left in the group stage. That's Puerto Rico this weekend. Puerto Rico, I would think by all accounts, the worst team in the tournament. So I would assume Halliburton will play even more coming up this weekend before they get to the medal round. And then, of course, we'll recap Colts practice from yesterday. Practice number 5. Again, they don't have a ton of these back-to-back days. Yesterday was one of them. And I thought, Andy, it was the best day for Alec Pierce so far.
Agreed.
And if I can group him with A.D. Mitchell, I thought the best day for either of them through 5 practices. I found it very fitting that Pierce hauls in a deep ball from Joe Flacco, just makes a great adjustment in the air on it. And that play was right in front of the GM, Chris Ballard. We just haven't seen a lot from either. And, especially Mitchell, compared to what we saw in the spring when he consistently made plays in 11 on 11, we have not seen that here through 5 practices at Grand Park. But I thought it was Pierce's best day. He did get hurt late in practice.
Yeah, what did it look like? Have they said anything? I saw the hobble off the field.
So it was an Anthony Richardson airmail on the far sideline, and Pierce tries to climb the ladder to make a play, and he's got he needed to be Manute Bull and George Mirasom to even get close to it. And he falls pretty hard to the ground. And then, you just kind of judge body language after that, Andy. And, I mean, he slams his helmet to the ground rather violently, especially for a guy like Alec Pierce, who, is never the most demonstrative player out there. He got medical attention for a couple of minutes and then did stay at practice, did not go back in. Stayed at practice talking with his wideouts. Again, you're reading body language. Shane Steichen didn't meet the media yesterday. I would think that's at least a good sign. They didn't get carted in or, anything like that. So, obviously, it will be something to watch. But, again, I thought Alec Pierce had a nice day yesterday. And considering the low bar of where those two have been at so far, I would call it the best day in that battle so far.
It's funny. You're exactly right. I think that's one of the main takeaways from yesterday. This was... when A.D. Mitchell got drafted, and even before that, this, Alec Pierce has been kind of a lightning rod, right? I mean, he's been fine. He's had some moments. And, for the most part, I heard Jake and Jimmy talk about this, and I think they're spot on. When you get taken in the second round, that's different than when you get taken in the fifth round. I mean, if he was, a fourth rounder or fifth rounder, it would be a different conversation, but he's not. And so, everybody's expecting a little bit more. And so A.D. Mitchell, he gets drafted. We talked a lot about that. I have a couple follow-ups on the potential, move up that we talked about yesterday for Malik Neighbors when Ballard, of course, during the draft wanted to move up to number 6 for, take the Giants pick. But, for the most part, through 4 or 5 practices here, we had more action in the spring, it feels like, than we've had in training camp. I was going to come in here today, and I think one of my takeaways was, the wide receiver battle is usually a sexy battle. You would imagine that every single day that one of these guys would be making a play to where you say, well, maybe this guy's in the lead or that guy's in the lead. But that hasn't been the case, and it hasn't been the case that we've questioned Shane Steichen on kind of who leads. But I thought yesterday was kind of one of those days where both of them move forward, and I would say Alec Pierce, the only thing that scares me is what you're talking about. I mean, for 3 hours, we can come in here, KB, and we can talk about, the wide receiver battle. And I hate saying this, but in the next few hours, if we find out there is some sort of injury to Alec Pierce, that obviously changes everything.
I have a Colts player that I think should hold out.
Okay, I like that. That's a great tease.
I'll share that with you here coming up in a little bit. I'm afraid to ask Mark Dykton this.
Oh boy.
Mark, are you gonna bet on the Bears tonight?
No, not gonna bet it. But
how do you even go about
what's the line? I'll bet
defining a line on the Hall of Fame game from Canton, Ohio?
Well, who's got the best backups?
Well,
I mean, that would be where you would start.
Is it even backups? Who's got the best third stringers?
Who's got the best third stringers? So, yes, we need a professional handicapper to tell us.
Is Davis Mills the backup to Stroud still? Is he still doing that?
I have no idea.
So is it Tyson for you guys?
Tyson Bagent and Brett Rippon from the LA Rams.
I like Bagent. He's the guy with all the tattoos that had his 15 minutes of fame last year. Good for him.
He was talking about the other day. He did a mile, a 1 hour mile of burpees and like long jumps. A mile of that.
Gosh,
yeah, Davis Mills is the backup quarterback.
That sounds like it should be an Olympic event. And that sounds like hell.
Case Keenum's third string. I'm going Texans money line tonight.
Texans minus 1.5.
Case Keenum, I mean, he knows the offense inside and out. He's been in the NFL for 15 years.
Texans are favored tonight.
So where are we at in golf? Because you're watching. I see Schauffele's 2 under.
Now, this is where the Ryder Cup was in 2018.
Oh, was
the United States got absolutely steamrolled. Hideki Matsuyama right now, if he makes this, Andy, he will be 7 under through 13 holes. He is your gold medal leader, if you will, at this point. And Hideki did make that. So 7 under par.
Good for you.
Score's pretty low, though. I saw Rory and Scotty Scheffler both had a nice front 9 here. And
did Rory meet with the media afterwards, or did he pull out and leave?
Rory's still on the golf course.
Okay,
but scores very low here.
Okay, he'll be happy
from
then.
France. Another item I want to get to here, Colts wise. I do think that this free safety competition is more than I thought it would be 5 days into Grand Park.
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
Oh, boy. Yeah,
that's how I feel.
That's where I'm at.
So we need to see somebody come in here. Ballard needs to sign somebody. You feel that way?
I've said for months now, safety's a bigger worry to me than corner. And after watching, again, a week of training camp, I continue to feel that way. I mean, you want Nick Cross to grab this and say it's no one else's job. This is my time. It's my 3rd year in the league. I was the one you traded up for and, the 3rd round pick and all of this. And I'm that. and he hasn't done that, and he's competing with guys that, have been benched and guys that have never really even played free safety in their NFL careers, and it's worrisome. And I think it's worrisome when you look at the schedule, and it's C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love weeks 1 and 2. So that is something I do want to hit on a little bit later today. What did you make of Tyrese Halliburton yesterday with Team USA? In total, what was it, 7 minutes?
Yeah, I think it was technically 8 minutes. But,
Joel
yeah.
Embiid was the goose egg. He was the DNP. We then saw Halliburton play, and I guess if we want to get technical here, which we probably should, Halliburton gets in with 5 minutes to go in the second quarter. At that point, the United States was up 17. And then he got in what I think you would label kind of the walk-on role with about 2 minutes to go in the game. If there is something of we're emptying the bench, with 12 great players, that's what Steve Kerr did there at the end. So 5:38 in the first half. They were up 17. Played really the rest of that first half, or very close to it. Hit his first 2 shots.
Oh, I thought he was fine when he came in. Yeah,
two open threes, and then got in for the final 2 minutes. Does that make you think anything for Tyrese Halliburton's role here with 4 games left in the Olympics?
No, what it tells me is that Steve Kerr hears the rhetoric. Does it not? I mean, that Steve Kerr heard, hey, when you win these games, when you're up 20-some points or 17 points, it's okay if there are a couple guys kind of at the end of the bench, and unfortunately, maybe it's just one guy in Tyrese. It's okay to put him in. Now, listen, I mean, he had some guys go to the bucket on him and score on him. We know defensively at times is an issue, and we've had that conversation, but he came in. What did he get? I mean, I believe he got an assist. He got a loose ball, created a second chance point for his team, and knocked down 2 3. So he came in and was ready to go. So I give him credit on that. I find a couple things interesting, more like big picture. Tatum started. Tatum played 17 minutes. And, Tatum was okay. He also had like 2 air balls that looked like he had never shot a basketball.
Yeah, Tatum okay might be a little bit of a compliment, to be honest with you.
I'm trying to be nice, but it is interesting to me that it feels like Steve Kerr heard the rhetoric or bent the knee a little bit in putting these guys in the game. Other than that, I got to be honest, the Olympics, at least for us, unless you're following all of these sports and athletes, and it's quite literally, KB, it feels like it's impossible to do. I am at times, a sucker for stories, and I feel like the South Sudan basketball team is one of the better stories.
Oh, it's an incredible story.
If not, I don't want to, power rankings of, the great stories, people overcoming such great adversity, but that is literally South Sudan. And, there was a time with LeBron and KD and Devin Booker and either Bam or Anthony Davis in the game, and Bam obviously was fantastic last night, but there was a time where in the second quarter and the fourth quarter, South Sudan made a run with those guys on the floor. Here's an 8-0 run, right? And those guys come down and, Durant hits a 3, Booker hits a pull-up, and it's over. LeBron's great, but, they were trying to get that to under 10, right? We talk about that, points to move on to the next round, but I thought it was an okay performance. I don't think I'm too hot taking. The bench was great. Bam was great. It was good to see the other guys kind of get in the game. Now, the thing that I'm interested in is Joel Embiid didn't play. So I find it interesting that there are these wide swings, right? Some guys are playing a lot of minutes and then they're not playing at all. And we've seen that now with 3 and 4 guys. And I find that to be interesting. Joel Embiid didn't look too happy sitting over there on the sideline. So I'm shocked you played 0 minutes. And then, I'm up this morning watching SportsCenter and Brian Windhorst is like, don't worry, Joel Embiid will be back in the starting lineup next game. And to me, that's what I find interesting the most with all this is just kind of the wild swings of there are 3-4 guys on this team that could play 18 minutes in a game or could literally play 0 minutes in a game. I just find that odd.
So their next game is Puerto Rico this weekend. They are, I would say, by all accounts, the worst team here in the Olympics. Serbia beat them by, I think it was almost 40 yesterday. Ooh. Again, the U.S. has wrapped up pretty much everything that they need to get the top seed, however you want to describe it, in the medal round. So I think Tyrese Halliburton probably will play his most minutes coming up this weekend.
Agreed.
Because you would think, you're going to rest some of those older guys. I will say, watching yesterday, I think the only way for Halliburton to get real minutes, you could make the argument yesterday, Andy, it wasn't real minutes. I mean, he was the 10th guy to get, or the 11th guy to get in the game, and they were already up nearly 20 in the first half.
I agree with you.
It's not like he was part of the second group. And then he doesn't get in the second half until the final 2 minutes when they went walk-on.
To your point, they went hockey substitution a couple times where he went 5 out, a new 5 in, and Tyrese wasn't part of that.
I walk away from that thinking he should play a good amount this weekend because, again, that game theoretically doesn't really matter. But unless a team, and we might see this in the medal round, we might see a team go full zone on USA and say, you know what, there is no chance we can stop you guys from getting to the rim at will and using your elite athleticism, et cetera, et cetera. Can you make whatever? Can you shoot 42% from three against us? That, to me, is like the only chance I feel like Halliburton has to get in. And you know why? Derek White was great yesterday. Derek White was everything Steve Kerr would want. And
I know.
He's defended well. He's forced turnovers. And he was 3 of 3 from behind the arc.
Listen, every time he made a shot or picked a guy's pocket, I got angry.
If you are Halliburton's family right now, if you're a Pacer fan, you're cringing at Derek White's minutes.
You hate Derek White.
He's playing well. And, I hate to say it, we all want to see Halliburton play more. But right now, he's giving Steve Kerr zero reason to all of a sudden turn back to Halliburton because at the end of the day, defense is going to be probably more of the question than offense. I mean, they're so gifted offensively. It's more of, can you give enough defensively?
Sounds like the Pacers.
Yeah, it really does.
Doesn't it?
So, again, unless a team goes full zone and you need the mix of, strong shooting, which obviously Halliburton can bring, and facilitating and passing, etc., I just don't see him getting real minutes the rest of the tournament. He should play a lot on Saturday, but again, I don't think that's going to all of a sudden greatly shift Steve Kerr's thinking in that. USA wins by 17. South Sudan covered, by the way. Remember that?
Covered easily. What was it, 29 and a half?
29.
We said it seemed like it was too many points, right? Of course, then later on the show, I said they're gonna dust South Sudan. You don't have to worry about it.
I thought it was an insane number there. And South Sudan has got a great chance to, still advance.
Sure they do. I hope they do. I really do.
If they can beat Serbia, which, we'll see how that plays out, they are a hell of a story, to your point. Youngest country in the world. Luol Deng has pretty much funded this entire program. Royal Ivy, their head coach, is not even getting paid for this. He's just an up-and-coming coach. And
wow, good for him.
Wants to do it on his resume. There's no indoor basketball courts in the country, which just is an insane stat. And, if you look at their roster and look into some of their backgrounds, it's not a lot of dual citizenship. Sometimes you can get, hey, this guy's pretty much lived in America his whole life.
Like Carly Jones, their good guard, who's been in America. He played at Radford and U of L.
Yeah, there's not a lot of that throughout their 12-man roster there. So, kudos to them for even, keeping it within, 20 yesterday. But, yeah, Halliburton, I guess, you're happy he played, but I do walk away from that. And nothing against Halliburton. He played good. Yeah. I thought when he got in there, I just don't see him getting meaningful clock here unless a team goes full zone and the U.S. looks anemic on offense.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think the other guys are playing well, and Derek White is a guy, you got to give him credit. I mean, they had all the guys in the league that they could have probably have gone to, and they went to Derek White, and he's been pretty good. So I'd say the Omot guy for South Sudan was really good yesterday. I did laugh when Anthony Davis...
He played at Baylor, right?
I believe so. I did laugh when he got an elbow in the gut, I think, from Anthony Davis, and they made it what is a flagrant foul. LeBron and Steph Curry are in the face of this poor referee. He's got to be thinking, what the hell is going on? So now, that's a good fun. Good win.
I apologize for putting you on the spot a little bit with EJ Speed yesterday, but I think EJ Speed appreciated you fanboying a little bit.
Well, I mean, listen, he probably doesn't get a lot of that. Everyone's paying attention to, Zaire Franklin getting 100 and some odd tackles, and they're paying attention to, the defensive line and Latu and D-Buck and all these guys are paying attention to Anthony Richardson and Pittman and everything else. So, yeah, listen, EJ Speed's a great story. Dude's a 5th-round pick at Tarleton State. And literally, I mean, he's going to get, we haven't talked about him. Do they sign him in the offseason if he has 109 tackles and, a couple interceptions and bats a couple balls down? What do you do with EJ Speed?
I thought his answer was pretty good on that.
Yeah.
I think fans will enjoy hearing that of, this is the first time I've been a full-time starter.
Sure.
I don't deserve the extension. I've got to prove myself, and he's right on that. But I think saying that publicly, I think fans will will appreciate that. So it was a fun conversation with EJ Speed. As Andy said, it's a great story. I mean, he was, again, for those unfamiliar, the Colts hadn't really even heard about him, a month and a half before the draft started.
It's unbelievable.
And not only do they take him in the 5th round. It's not like they just threw a 7th-round pick at him and said, who knows what'll happen. So we'll play that coming up. You mentioned Zaire Franklin. I think at one point yesterday you had a Quentin Nelson left hand removing the helmet of one Zaire Franklin, and I think that went from highly engaged skirmish to, we're going to the ground on this one, and a little low high five as they exited the pile between a helmetless Zaire Franklin and Quentin Nelson.
Zaire put, companies to do this 0 days without an incident. Zaire put that on Twitter, 0 days without a fight. So
well, and that's a reference.
He finally got one.
He had behaved at this point through camp, but yesterday we did see him and Quentin Nelson get into it a little bit. I do think there's been one tight end. If you wanted to make me pick one tight end who's been the best, I'll get to that here in a little bit. As I get choked up about
you
it.
need to clear your throat. Yeah, watch the golf. All right.
Makes me emotional.
All right, let's take a break. All right, coming up on the other end, sound from Colts camp yesterday, plus your scores from last night and an Olympic update. Your morning check down. It's coming up next. Appreciate you hanging out with us until 10 o'clock. Wake up call 93.5 107.5 The Fan.
Down. Brought to you by Butler Bulldogs Basketball. Season tickets are on sale now. Order by August 1st for your shot at the best seats in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets.
Colts linebacker E.J. Speed going to join us here coming up at 8 o'clock. I've got a Colts player that should hold out.
And
it's not Jonathan Taylor after last year. I want to share that here coming up in a few minutes, but let's go ahead and hit a morning check down.
That would be something, quite the story of Jonathan Taylor, back-to-back holdouts after receiving
running backs deserve it all.
Yeah, so no Shane Steichen yesterday. Colts camp in Westfield. You had the two coordinators. So let's talk about Gus Bradley. He took the podium first time in training camp. Two different things I want to share with you. That free safety battle, we talked about that. Good, maybe not so good. It's going to be a conversation in camp, and if they go into the regular season with Nick Cross as the starter. Here's Gus Bradley yesterday on those free safeties.
I think that was one of the positions we looked at yesterday where we started to see some flashes where, the execution part is there. So now when you see them play with good execution, you can kind of judge their speed then. They're not thinking as much. So, we still got some work to do there as far as our evaluation, but it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, so I don't know how you take that. Again, Nick Cross, Rodney Thomas, Ronnie Harrison Jr. seem to be the three that are out there. Leatu Latu, that's been a conversation. We talked a lot about him yesterday, KB. Here's Gus Bradley on his rookie defensive end.
He's been playing with a good motor. I think that, he's a high-effort guy. And I think especially the last couple of days where you're seeing him not think as much and you're seeing that that's what we thought, and you're seeing that on tape when we watch it. So he's doing a nice job. He just keeps getting better every day, and then, that's all we're asking him to do.
I think if you're going to pick a winner from yesterday, I'd go with the defense. They were really good in the goal line period to start practice. Anthony Richardson was 7 of 12. A fine day, maybe a little bit more dink and dunk in the 11-on-11 period than he has been. Again, strong day for Alec Pierce. Did get a little banged up late in practice, but certainly want to hit more on that free safety talk here coming up in a bit. All right, Mark Dykton, cue up our Olympic music here on this Thursday morning. Gosh, it sounds glorious. How much did this guy make making this music here?
Do we know who did it? Wasn't John Tesh, was it?
Wasn't John Tesh. Wasn't John Williams either.
Sounds like something you hear from the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra. How about Carmel's Rajiv Ram yesterday?
Yes.
Doubles in tennis. They beat Rafa Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz in the quarterfinal, 6-2, 6-4. So now they are in the semis. Obviously, if you win the semifinal match and get to the final, you're guaranteed a medal, gold or silver.
Good
Even
for
if
them.
you lose here, you get the bronze. Sounded like some great drama. Obviously, Nadal's history on the French courts, you would think the crowd would be heavily behind him yesterday. So awesome to see a very unheralded American duo. Rahm, of course, a tremendous doubles player throughout his tennis career, getting the victory in that one. I am very confused why we're so bad at 3-on-3 basketball.
Yeah, I've seen some stuff like, how do we fix it? I'm like, well, I know how to fix it. Put NBA players or really good college players on the team, right? I mean, what am I missing? Why is it Canyon Barry? Is that his name? Who lives in Indiana, right? Doesn't he live in Indiana? He's an engineer, if I'm not mistaken.
Jimmer Fredette is on the team. I did a brief scan of NBA players to put on the 3-on-3 team.
I mean, any of them.
Hear me out on this.
Okay.
How about Jay Nivey, Scotty Barnes, Mikal Bridges, Brandon Miller, and Chet Holmgren?
I'm fine. Like, you could pick almost any of the NBA players, and I would take any of them.
And the women are just as bad. We are combined 0-5 in 3-on-3 basketball right now in the Olympics.
We will, sometimes Team USA, like on the men's side, like the full team, 12-on-12, we had to hit rock bottom for us to say, you know what, maybe the better players need to step up and go play 6 games of basketball. Do you think that happens here?
Well,
or do we not care? Because we've never cared about this until this moment.
I mean, some of the, pick the young guys. Yeah. You would think it'd be great for marketing. I mean, you're winning a gold medal. I think it's fun.
Yeah,
I mean,
what about Cooper Flagg?
Sure, yeah. And I don't know, maybe you get into weird college things with how college programs could react, but I would think some of these individual brands, from an NBA standpoint, would love to do it. On today's docket, women's all-around in gymnastics, so certainly a big day for Simone Biles. U.S. women's basketball back on the floor. I believe it's Belgium coming up this afternoon. And tonight, by all accounts, will be the last individual final of Lily King's illustrious Olympic career. She qualified 6th in the 200-meter breaststroke. So she will be in the pool again. She has made it clear and said that's us, if I'm not mistaken, about a month ago. This is her last Olympics, so her last individual race here coming up tonight.
All right, couple other Olympic items. 103-86, Team USA on the men's side. They beat South Sudan. We talked about that. What was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players scoring in double figures. Did you see LeBron went over 300 points, Olympic points in his career?
Him, Durant, and Melo.
And Carmelo Anthony. Yep, so the only 3 players have done that, so they were pretty dominant. Katie Ledecky, of course, we talked a little bit about this yesterday. She won the gold in the 1500. She is the 20 fastest times in the history of that event. So if you go the fastest time, number 1, all the way down to number 20, it's all Ledecky, which is pretty amazing.
It's a 15-minute race.
I mean, it's amazing.
Can you imagine? I can't go 15 minutes in the pool without needing a drink of my beer.
I mean, there's not one person that ran a great race that might be 9th, on that list. She's got all of them. And then I hate doing this. Mark, our guy, Chris Giuliano, it's been a rough one for him. The 200 and the 50, he was way back in the prelims. And I've been following my guy, Pat Forty from Sports Illustrated. The pool is slow. And
I know nothing, but have we underwhelmed in the pool?
Oh, we have. The Australians are kicking us around. We are not going to beat the Australians. So we may be second when it comes to swimming, but we ain't going to be first. That seems to be the conversation. So there's an Olympic update. Quickly, Major League Baseball. Here we go, Mark. Cubs over the Reds, finally 13-4. Cardinals all over the Rangers, 10-1. Indianapolis Indians, 7-5 over Toledo. I don't know if you paid attention to this or not, KB. Indians have won now 7 straight games.
Yeah. It's 8.
Is it 8 games now?
They swept Iowa on the road, and now, in the same week that you bring Bluey and Bingo to the building this weekend, that place is going to be
raucous
electric.
crowd.
Okay,
Raucous.
They should move the game to Lucas Oil.
Okay, so on Saturday, Bluey and Blippy are going to be in town, but not only that.
No.
Bluey and Bingo.
Bingo, I apologize.
That is sacrilegious.
It is.
That you just said
How dare
Bluey
you.
and Blippy in the same sentence.
It's CC Sabathia bobblehead night, too, on Saturday. How about that?
At the Indians game?
Yeah, CC Sabathia.
Really?
Yeah. I have no idea. It's on our
At
website.
the Indianapolis Indians game?
It's on our website.
What's the significance of that?
I don't know. It's on our website. I was looking at it just a second ago. I clicked on the link.
What day is this?
Looks like it's Saturday.
CC Sabathia.
Wow, I knew it was a Cleveland Indian. I guess I'm very confused on that.
I have no idea. It's on the website. Yeah, I was looking right at it. Anyway, so
What the hell?
yeah, so it's going to be a busy weekend out there. 8 straight games for them. Good deal. Texans and Bears tonight, 8 o'clock on ESPN. Your spread right now, believe Bears favored by 1.
I was too busy grinding my absolute face off in the offseason.
That's Tyson Bagent, your starting quarterback for the Bears.
I take that back. It's Texans
I was gonna
favored
say,
by 1.
As the line flipped, did
Texans by
Tyson
1.
wake up with food poisoning here?
I can't wait. NFL's back. Guys you never heard of, and we'll talk about that. You got anything else on the check down?
I got nothing.
All right, coming up on the other end, reminder.
Actually, I do have one.
Okay.
Do you see Big Ten basketball locations announced
I did see
for
that.
future years? Now, I said this to you when was our latest announcement? Boy, I'm trying to think like in the last week or two what event was announced. And I said to you, like, Vegas is the city that I think Indianapolis is kind of most worried about.
Big Ten football media days.
That was it. Yeah,
Yep.
Big Ten football media days. So if you look at the Big Ten men's and women's basketball tournament here on the horizon, Vegas is going to creep into the picture. Now, to map out the next 4 years, this spring, so this March, you'll have both men and women here in Indy. In 2026, the women will be here. The men will be in Chicago, which obviously we've seen before. 27, you'll have the men in Chicago, the women out in Vegas. And then in 28, the men are in Vegas and the women are in Detroit.
Sorry for them. Don't tell JMV. DeToilet, as he calls it.
Now, do you think like these teams want to be in Vegas like the week before the tournament starts? I mean, I say that with like all seriousness.
It's a great question. You know, the Big Ten commissioner, Tony Petitti, talked about that on the football side. He's like, well, we got to watch out, you know, if we're flying them to Vegas and then, you know, there's teams that are going to be in the college football playoff. And he said that with the basketball tournament. If we start taking it exotic places, remember, these teams play on Saturday night, Sunday night, whatever it is.
It's like right before the selection show starts.
Yeah, then they got to, you know, then you have the selection show, and then you might play, you know, on Thursday at 11:30 a.m. or I guess noon, 12:05. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. I know Indy's going to have to bend the knee to Vegas. I'm not as worried about that. I know Chicago's involved. It's bending the knee to places like Minneapolis and Detroit.
So
those are the places I have a problem with.
So again, the next 4 years for the men's Big Ten tournament, Indy, Chicago, Indy, Vegas. For the women, it'll be Indy, Vegas, Detroit.
Yeah. Big difference there. Vegas and Detroit from year one, from year two. So good stuff there. All right, let's take a break. Coming up on the other end, KB, you've teased this, and I don't even know what you're going to say. A Colts player that should hold out. Who is it? We'll talk about that next. EJ Speed at 8 o'clock. Appreciate you hanging out with us. Wake Up Call 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Well, Hard Knocks theme here from Mark Dykton on this Thursday morning. We are back in studio. It's an off day for the Colts. 9 a.m. start time tomorrow. So for those that have gotten into a morning routine of potentially attending camp practice at Grand Park, 10 a.m. has been the start time so far. It'll be 9 a.m. coming up tomorrow. I think 9 to 10:45, and I believe back in full pads. That's the thought for tomorrow's practice. Again, EJ Speed going to join us here coming up in about 20 minutes.
A big shout out. I did see public schools back in session today, Kevin Bowen.
Definitely today, right?
Did you?
My kids started yesterday. Was the first day.
Well, there you
They're
go.
already back.
Did we want to, as a show, kids, good luck, work hard, study hard. Did you have anything for the youth of America that you might want to pass along today?
I'll start here. Go to bed at a decent hour for your parents.
Go to bed at 8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Or whatever time.
Don't
whatever
listen to
bedtime
daylight
is.
savings time. Imagine the sun is gone.
Oh, daylight savings time.
And go to bed at a decent hour.
That's a battle.
Monday for us in the Bowen household.
Is that it? Monday? Okay.
Monday,
So
back in
it will
action.
be truly Sunday scaries then for everybody in the Bowen household.
Well, again,
or the
you can
kids
look
pumped up.
You can look at a glass half full, possibly there. But it was kind of funny. I felt like yesterday at Grand Park, you even saw maybe kind of a few less kids than we had been used to out there. And I'm sure Friday it'll be dialed back even more.
It is wild. Like, didn't you guys go back to school like after Labor Day?
Yeah.
And now it's like early August. The
it
kids
seems
I
are back.
felt like I
couple
was
weeks
never
earlier.
Labor Day, but I definitely was at some point
It was late August.
later in August for sure. But
Yeah,
again,
it is
it's
wild.
I mean, it's now pretty much year round, right?
Yeah, basically. It's
For
an
the most
alternate
part.
schedule for the most part. So I just want to give a shout out. I know, parents in
Shout
the
out
car.
to our teachers. I hope you enjoyed
teachers.
the summer break.
Good luck.
God bless our teachers out there, and I say that in all seriousness.
All right, so 8 o'clock, we'll have VJ Speed joining us. Coming up at 8:30, Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files. We'll talk some Pacers, some Halliburton. Now, you have teased this a couple different times, and I don't know if you mean this seriously or if you're just saying it with a smile. A Colts player that should hold out. Who is that Colts player, Kevin Bowen?
I think Julian Blackman should hold out.
Boy, I tell you, man, he was good yesterday, wasn't he?
I think he should hold out. And I am.
Why do you only get a one-year deal? Why did nobody want Julian Blackman?
I think I'm serious on this. If I was like team player, team agent, and just carrying the flag for them like no other, if I was the torchbearer for them here, I would tell Julian Blackman hold out. I'd be like, hey, you see the other safeties? Do you see what you're trying to do? Like, for example, and the Colts put out the highlight yesterday of Julian Blackman making another play, which you're referencing, just a backpedaling jump in the air, throw the right hand up, and tips it at the last second for what would have been a huge deep ball connection. I'm trying to think who the receiver was down the field that he tipped it away from, but it was just it was a reminder of, one, how good Julian Blackman is, and two, he is the strong safety. He's not the free safety anymore. So if you're the strong safety, you're supposed to be closer to the line of scrimmage, and yet here's Blackman now for what seems to be at least the third or fourth time here through 5 practices, making a huge play outside of his responsibility, well down the field. And I just think more so than any player, I would say at any position on the roster, he is far and ahead, light years above anybody else there. He is just so valuable. And you put on top of it, there's no safeties. I mean, it's just right now at free safety, they, I guess, are having a competition. Ronnie Harrison Jr., who was a linebacker for the Colts at one point last year, and if anything, he was probably more of your strong safety than a free safety. He's getting a look back there at free safety. Rodney Thomas II, who was benched late last season, he is getting a look. Like, Nick Cross has not taken this job on and said, it's my job, it's no one else's, my time in the NFL has arrived, it's year 3, et cetera, et cetera. Julian Blackman should hold out, and the Colts should go sign a safety.
It's crazy. Julian Blackman, so this year, for people that don't remember, he was a free agent. Basically, it was, hey, go figure out your worth, and we'll go from there. And, Xavier, oh, goodness, help me. Alabama. Goodness, he played for the Giants.
Xavier McKinney.
Yes, McKinney, he got the big deal in Green Bay. But, for the most part, it felt like this offseason, did it not, that free safety was being treated in a lot of ways in the NFL like running back. Like, oh, yeah, we'll just put anyone back there, or, we're not going to pay a guy very much. So Blackman comes back on a 1-year deal with, if you take his signing bonus and his base salary this season is $1.3 million. I mean, the guy's making about $3.2 million this offseason, so it's kind of like twofold. It's like, number one, I don't understand how he hit the free agency market and nobody thought that he was better than he was. I still don't understand why no one at least offered him a little bit more. And then, flip side, it's good that Ballard brought him back, but, whether it be, and obviously behind Blackman, it's one reason why we did our list a couple weeks ago, most dispensable Colts, and he was on both of our lists. And quite frankly, he might be moving up our list with what we have seen at safety. But KB, free safety, the Colts would not treat other positions like this. Would they? With 3 totally unproven guys? I don't feel like you would do that at left tackle, or you would do that at center, or you do that at quarterback if you're trying to win games. And I know the rhetoric yesterday from Gus Bradley, they're starting to get in. We're starting to see that competition. It's hard to feel that way. And right now, the Colts, while I love parts of their roster, and I think the upside for other parts of their roster is absolutely there. I think we saw that maybe at wide receiver yesterday. They can't sell to me what they have going on at free safety. They can't sell to me what they have going on at safety other than Julian Blackman. Can they? Like at all? Like 0%.
33rd highest paid safety in the NFL. Julian Blackman.
I just don't understand it. Why is the NFL treating free safety or strong safety, any safety? Why are they treating the safety position like the running back position? I don't get it.
I am confused by that as well. You would think the emergence of tight ends being so prominent, like you would want, potential matchup.
What's a throwing league? That's what people do.
Right. And, the thing about Blackman, too, that I think has to be pointed out is he's played such a variety of positions for the Colts. Again, he's primarily been a free safety in his NFL career. And then they asked last year for him to switch to strong safety, and he flourished. He had a career year. And then he tested the safety market, like you just pointed out, and he was the latest Colts free agent to re-sign. And it goes back to the Chris Ballard press conference that we recapped a week ago today, I guess, Andy, of him talking about the defensive backfield and him using some sort of phrase of it might take some time, it could take a month into the season. I don't disagree with that statement from him. But again, this is not a college football schedule.
This is not Toledo and North Carolina A&T.
Caked it with your Division I AA and your MAC school. Arguably your toughest back-to-back games of the season are the first 2. In C.J. Stroud in Houston and Jordan Love in the Packers. And those 2 quarterbacks, are going to test you. And again, through the first 5 practices here at Grand Park, I've just been underwhelmed by what you've seen back there. And, they, in the spring, operated largely with Nick Cross taking every starting rep when we were out there. And now that has not happened. So they've opened up the competition a bit, and clearly they want to see some other guys. And for what it's worth, I actually think Ronnie Harrison Jr. has made a couple plays, but still, it just does not, as much as Julian Blackman calms things, what's going on next to him does not calm things.
No, and it doesn't calm things when you have one guy.
Who has had injuries in his career.
Who has had injuries, who last year, when he was out in the most important game of the season against the Texans, when you're in, when you go to the, you go to the playoffs, when you win the AFC South, and he wasn't there, and you saw what happened. And then the other thing on top of it is, maybe I'm missing something. The Colts have the money, right? The Colts have a good amount of salary cap space here, that if they wanted to go make a move, they very well could. I understand not wanting to pull the plug.
Money has never been the issue with the Colts.
I understand not pulling the plug
Let's
on...
make that very clear.
Understandable. I understand not pulling the plug on young guys who are battling for a position. But we have done this with, for instance, KB, you've done this, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't totally agree, but, you have said... with Tyrese Halliburton and Team USA, if I'm sitting here saying, that, hey, make sure everyone plays. Didn't Charles Barkley say that after the first game? Steve Kerr needs to make sure everybody's playing. And you've kind of had fun with that. Like, it's juice box time, right? Everyone gets some playing time. Everybody gets a trophy. That's that sort of thing. Are we not doing that a little bit with the free safety position with the Colts?
I think there's an element of okay, you want to create some competition, and I can get behind that. Let me, sure, I'm a fan of competition, but to me, it sends quite the message to Nick Cross in what he has not been able to do. Again, year 3 for a third-round pick at safety, a guy you traded back into round 3, a guy that has all these gifted athletic traits. And if you look at it, he started the first 2 games of his NFL career, and since then, at a position where it's not like you found anything besides him. He started 2 of the last 32 games. And again, it's a guy that you invested in a good amount by trading back into round 3. And, we did this exercise a few weeks ago, Andy, of you look at that 2022 draft, I guess. Bernard Ryman is an absolute hit in round 3. Around him, it was Alec Pierce in round 2. It was Jelani Woods in round 3. It was, Nick Cross in round 3. And you're very much up in the air on those 3 guys. I want to hit on Woods here for just a second. There has been constant rotation at tight end. If you were going to make me pick bless you, Mark, who has been the best tight end so far for the Colts through 5 practices, I'd go with a man in a contract year, and I'd go with Kylan Granson. If you're going to make me pick one, that's where I would go. And if you really said, Kevin, you have to make a list 1 through 5.
Okay.
Like you have to order
we're forcing
them.
you, okay?
You are forcing me. I do it with the lightest pencil. Is a 0.5 on the mechanical pencil lead.
I know you're kid of teachers. They always had growing up the number 2 pencils, and I'm like, I've never seen anything
Ticonderoga?
I've never seen anything other than a number 2 pencil. I mean, I know they exist, but where? Where
are there number 1s? Are there number 3s? I've never seen anything.
Yeah,
I
remember at Cherry Tree when we started to migrate to the mechanical. The mechanical pencils, but the electronic sharpeners.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
that was a big deal.
You know what's crazy?
Instead of cranking the one,
instead of cranking it,
like a cheese grater.
Save that. We can save that for some
We can say
point.
cranking it. We're talking about pencils.
That'll be a promo
Come
at
on,
some
we're
point.
going back to school today.
What are your top 5? So you
light pencil.
Granson 1. Okay.
Okay. So you want me to pick the whole list?
I thought you were.
Okay,
I thought
yeah.
you had
I will,
one.
I will,
I thought
I
you
will.
had one in your mind.
I'll go. Let's put Will Mallory 5 because he's hurt right now.
Yeah, I haven't seen him.
Let's go Granson 1. Let's go Drew Ogletree 2. Let's go Mo Alley Cox 3. Let's go Jelani Woods 4. Let's go Will Mallory 5.
I know Woods had a couple catches yesterday, but I wanted him to be other than 4. Yeah, it's not going to happen, is it?
Again, there's just been a little bit of, I think, kind of a lack of the first team reps for him. It's been a lot of rotation within that room, but, again, I think there's maybe a little bit of a misconception of like, oh, Jelani Woods the Colts' number 1 tight end. No questions asked. And we can get more into position battles maybe on the show tomorrow, but, tomorrow's the midway point of camp. I mean, it's kind of crazy how you're there. Now, I will say, once you get to the midway point, Andy, you start to get truer evaluations. And by that, I mean this. The second full padded practice of camp will be tomorrow. They'll have more full padded days coming up next week. You have the 2 Arizona Cardinal joint practices left.
Yep.
You go down to Cincinnati for the joint practice here and later in August. Obviously, you have the preseason game. So from a quantity standpoint, we're at the midway point tomorrow. But from the quality of what the camp practices look like, we are the back half at Grand Park provides a little bit more of truer evaluations.
Yeah, and I think even though they're preseason games and these joint practices, I always feel like they matter a little bit more. Like, I think the wide receiver position is that. I think all the practice stuff is fine between Mitchell and Alec Pierce, but I think in a game, you're going to see one of those guys pop, right? Like, if someone goes out and wins that, like, they're going to make the plays in the game to say, hey, practice, it might be one of them building on practice, but it might be them, hey, I'm in a game. A game is different than a rep in practice, right? I mean, I
you would hope.
I mean, you would hope. We have EJ Speed. Something I want to do if we have time, KB, in the 9 o'clock hour as well. I'm going to put together a blog on this, and I may need your help if you don't mind. I was thinking, and things that we can put on the website, kind of like an ultimate Colts list, like a what-if list, like the ultimate if things popped for this team. If Latu emerged, we talked about double-digit sacks yesterday. If A.D. Mitchell, or Alec Pierce for that matter, really emerged as that third wide receiver, you go back and you look at Jalen Hurts and what he was able to do with the Eagles and Shane Steichen when he was there for a year. If AR does, fill in the blank, if that's 30, 300-400 yards passing and, 800 yards rushing, whatever it is. I think Julian Blackmon has to be on that list as well. So I want to do that as well. EJ Speed, his story, what he's seen with this team getting close to halfway through training camp. We spoke with him after practice. We'll let you hear that conversation. Colts linebacker EJ Speed joins us next on The Fan.
Enthralled with the men's Olympic golf underway here, round one. Currently, Hideki Matsuyama in the lead, so that would theoretically be your gold medalist if he's able to hold on. Right now, your bronze medalist would be a dude from Finland named Sammy with a mullet.
Who's this David Puig guy from Spain?
A very decorated collegiate player at Arizona State. He's a liver.
What do you mean he's a liver?
Live.
Oh, he's a live guy.
Yeah, live
okay.
golf. Yeah.
Yeah. He's on live.
Gotcha.
He's on the
Wait till you
CW.
see Sammy. Sammy looks like John Daly's nephew.
Outside of the top, 5 or 6 guys who went to Live, there's 30 other guys that I've never heard of that are on Live.
Well, you could say that maybe about Dustin Johnson right now. Have you heard from Dustin Johnson in the last 2 years?
I see him.
Here's our guy Sammy. By the way,
I see him on Instagram occasionally because I follow his wife on Instagram, but that's about it. Otherwise, I see none of Dustin Johnson, and I like DJ
Sammy
too.
pouring one in with the mullet from Finland. Doesn't he look like John Daly's nephew?
He's got a little Ballard though. That hair's got a little bit of
Ballard draft mullet.
It's got a little bit of Chris Ballard draft mullet, sure.
Now, he's not rocking that Colts cursive hat. It's just a Finland hat in Times New Roman.
Well, I was about to say, are they not allowed to have tailor-made or Nike? That he just has Finland as a hat.
That literally, his wardrobe is literally 12-point Times New Roman. Finland.
Who was the actor who several years ago just wore the
Rob
NFL
Lowe.
hat? He's
Rob
pulling the
Lowe.
Rob Lowe.
That's Ursay's guy.
He loves football.
Rob Lowe
Loves
defends
all
the
football.
Shield, right?
All football, all the time, Rob Lowe.
And thankfully, we've got the Shield tonight. Mark Dykton, so happy.
I am.
Texans and Bears from Canton, Ohio.
This is the end, folks. The wives are going to be disappointed because it's football from here on out.
Gosh,
this
I'd
is the
love
last
to see
day.
Maddie's face if I told her we have to watch the Hall of Fame game over Simone Biles' all-around routine
Just don't say anything. Just pop it on about 8:05 or so on
watch
ESPN.
the first series or two, and then
watch
check
the first
out.
series.
What time for our Hall of Fame speeches on Saturday? Did we have that?
So they have. I don't know the times.
I want to say they're earlier than.
There's the order of it. Let me see
I know
if I can find
Freeney's
it.
first.
So he's probably 2-3 o'clock, right?
But I thought it used to be whatever, you started at 5 or 6, and then it's wait a minute, these speeches are taking way too long. They want to have their parties, at a decent hour, so they moved up the start times.
Yeah, let me look while EJ Speed's going. I'll look that up because I don't know, but you're right. It feels like Freeney's going to be out there sweating at 3 o'clock. Is what it feels like.
Again, that means Ursay. Ursay's introducing him, so he'll be the one or presenting him, whatever the technical term is on that. So
yeah, he's out there first, and Patrick Willis is the closer. So
boy, I think I'm seeing it starts at 12.
Wow, is that induction times? Yeah, I'm looking at it. Does it start at noon? Wow, that'd be early.
That'd be early.
That feels early, does it not?
God, that'd be early, and that'd be hot.
Oof. I mean, Ursay's probably popping in and popping out, right? You'd imagine private jet in, private jet out.
Well, and again, sounds like a little wheelchair action here. Yeah,
Sure.
The newest members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame will be enshrined at noon at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. Yeah.
It's no offense to Patrick Willis. How is he batting cleanup there? Or is being last maybe not an honor? I guess I see it as, well, you're last. Everyone's waiting around, best for last type of thing.
I've
but
tried to
that's
make
not
sense
the
of
case.
it. I mean, part of me thought, does the stage have to be different for Ursay, frankly? Just if he's in a wheelchair or in a chair, period, I don't know. Do you leave the podium off to the side for, the start of it and then, wheel it out there for the other one? So noon on Saturday, Dwight Freeney into the Hall of Fame. All right, he's a full-time starter for the Indianapolis Colts. He's had a pretty impressive NFL career so far. Very unheralded out of Tarleton State. The favorite player of Andy Sweeney. Here's EJ Speed.
Hi, welcome back here to Grand Park. And I might say, Andy Sweeney, is this your favorite player sitting next to us right now?
Yeah,
Does
so
EJ
we need to
Speed
talk about
qualify
this.
as this?
EJ Speed's my guy. I love his personality. I love the trash talk. I love the podcast. I'm all in. How you doing, man? You good?
Man. How you doing? Appreciate the love, for sure.
You like me putting on for you?
Yeah, keep doing that.
He does not do this to every player. Let me be very clear, okay? He does not do this to every player. EJ, we saw the physicalities ramped up with the full pads. If I could go back to a couple days ago, you and Michael Pittman Jr. early in practice. What do we call that? We call that a scuffle, a skirmish, a fight, competitive guys getting at it?
We call it pit and I want to be hit. That's what we call it. But nah, it's just a competitive thing that, receivers don't like being hit. They don't want to be hit. They don't feel like they should be hit. And Pitt a passionate player, so when he gets hit and he don't feel like he should be hit, we go at it. But it's all love.
Is that Pitt trying to set a tone in the full pads? He knows you guys are chirping on defense.
You just never know what he's telling his receiving group core. He probably setting the tone for his receiving group core. I do the same thing for my linebacking crew. So
listen,
you know what I'm saying?
I mean this because you guys as football players are not like normal guys like us sports radio fatties, over here, even though you might want to be in the media at some point. I mean, how do you get into it on the field like that, and then you step off the field and you're like that's still your dude. You're still
yeah,
brothers.
nah,
Like,
just
how does that happen?
understanding competitive. Like it's just we out there just being competitive. Sometimes it get chippy, but it's nothing that ever leaves the green. Like the green is a different place. Like some people got alter egos. Every football player has an alter ego if he's a good football player. He step on the field, he a ruggish. He won't kill everything, hit everything, slap everything. It's the same thing when your teammate getting away. Sometimes they gotta get the butt end of the deal. But you know what I mean. When we take the pads off and we go in and we look at film and you know what I mean, and we all we done been to Pitt House, met his family and everything like that. None of that stuff leaves the field, and if it ever does, it shouldn't.
He is the pride of Tarleton State, number 45, EJ Speed with us here on the Wake Up Call. EJ, you are a full-time every snap guy now.
Yeah.
This time last year, you weren't that. You got it, obviously, as the year moved along. Is that different for you at all in getting ready for a season?
No, I always had a mental mindset that I was a starter. Even when I was a special team guy, I looked at it as a starting role. So I don't think anything has the only thing that has changed is is playing every down, from first to second to third and understanding what the offense is trying to accomplish and the ways to stop it and attack it. So you're more detailed in that sense of being on the field and understanding, downs and distance instead of just coming in on third down and understanding 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6 and all that type of stuff because offenses bring out different plays and different packages based on that. So now you got to do that all for 1st and 10, 1st and 5. You know what I mean? Now you got to do it all. So that's a mental mindset that I go into it with, for sure.
Birdie told me you're a big Pilates guy. Is this correct?
Yeah, I do. I love Pilates.
Okay, when did it start? Tell us more. Again, Andy and
I actually started doing it like my
anything.
second year in the league down in Austin at Coralie Pilates. Oh my gosh, she's intense. Like she had an intense workout and I always felt good after Pilates. It was like you work Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday is like a Pilates recovery day. So, man, I got into Pilates and I love it. It helped my flexibility. It helped my strength in being flexible. And I feel like it keeps me on the field.
You do it in season?
Yeah, I do it in season also.
Okay. How many days a week?
Once on right after so it's the Monday.
Got it.
That Monday off day, yeah.
You guys had a big injury. Samson goes down
Man,
the
my
other
savage.
day. Yeah, how big is that for this defense? And first practice or two here. How have you seen some of the other guys rally around and step up? Maybe
a lot of guys has already been. It's step up time right now. So I don't think anyone can replace Samson just because of the guy he is in the locker room and on the field. Samson is a dog on the field. In the locker room, he's just a great guy that you can talk to. Always positive. I think y'all seen his post. If y'all haven't, go look at it. And, he speaks positivity onto other people even when he's going through his hard time. So that just speaks for the person that he is. And Samson is irreplaceable. I don't care what anybody say he's irreplaceable. But I know it's somebody that can fill the shoes of what we need on the field for sure.
EJ Speed is with us here live at Grand Park. Just wrapped up practice number 5. I want to go back to last November, and I'm at the Shaquille Leonard Turkey Drive, Turkey Hand. I forget exactly what the title is. And you're there, and you're there the day or the hours, I guess, after he had just gotten cut, and you're the guy taking over his role. If you don't mind, could you just get us into your relationship with Shaq, why you felt like you needed to show up to that? To me, on the surface, I'm like, gosh, is that not awkward? Like, just let us in a little bit, if you don't mind, on your relationship with him and what that moment was like for you.
When I came into the league, Shaq was the person who took me up under his wing. Delano was the guy that took me up under his wing, brought me around. I was I was homesick. Tulsa was 45 minutes away from the house. I'm 13 away, you know what I mean? My family can come in and out whenever they want. So just being around his family embracing me. I know all his friends and family from back home in South Carolina. And just being in his house, he always had his door open. I'd come over and, we'd kick it, play pool or whatever like that. And anything that I needed within football, because I came in as a raw linebacker. I was only playing linebacker for like 2 years. So when I came into the league, man, anything that I needed, he told me the ins and outs of the league, what I should be, what's expected of me, you know what I mean? Because that's something that rookies struggle with, just knowing what's expected of them at the time. So I just go in and he helped me with everything, man. He was always doors open. Even now, I just got off the phone with him 2 days ago, and he was telling me, what's expected this year. And I told him, I'm putting my best foot forward and do what we always do and hold that standard that he set for the linebacker room early. So Shaq was a hell of a guy, still is, and his presence is still in our locker room.
So you obviously still keep in touch with him?
Yeah, he's still keeping in touch with us.
Are his spirits still high?
Hell yeah. This core that Ballard brought in from when D. Leonard was drafted, even some guys from after he was drafted, the standard and stuff that D. Leonard played with and the bar that he set will always be in this building as long as that these classes are in here, these draft classes.
EJ Speed with us. Have you had the chance to kind of pass that to the next group?
Yeah,
guys,
guys. And that's one of the things that D. Leonard left with me. Like, don't be one of those vets that don't help the younger guys. So anytime I see a younger guy struggling with something, or even when he's not struggling with something, he just need praise on top of praise, I give it to him.
EJ Speed with us. If I went power ranking trash talker on the Colts, where are you? What's your top five? Yeah, I like this. I know you're a good talker.
Yeah, I'm a good trash. Dallo a pretty good trash talk. I'm not gonna rank him
Dallas
because
Flowers won?
Yeah, Dallas Flowers can trash talk. Who else can trash talk? Grove can get his trash talking down when he turn it on.
Man, and he's got the drawl to go
Q,
with it.
That's one person y'all really don't. Q can actually trash talk very well. He got a sarcastic trash talk to him, but it's effective.
And he got into his Zaire today. We saw.
Yeah, that's how they do. Who else is a good trash? JD, Josh Downs, a great trash talker. AD a good trash talker. JT don't trash talk at all. JT actually sneaks up on you because he don't talk, but he'll have it out for you, but won't say nothing.
What about Anthony?
AR can trash talk. He's not gonna do it on the field though, but he'll get you like afterwards. He love playing basketball and stuff like that, so he'll get it in afterwards.
He is EJ Speedies with us here live at Grand Park. You touched on your Tarleton State story a little bit earlier, but I was hoping you could kind of expand on that, the positions you played, and just your draft journey to the Colts. If I'm not mistaken, like a month and a half before the draft, I think the Colts didn't even know about you. And then you light it up at a pro day, and next thing you know, you're a fifth-round pick.
Actually, I came in playing receiver, made the switch from receiver to like a stand-up defensive end, then to linebacker my last 2 years. I had some medical red shirts. I was going through some injuries at Tarleton. Thank God that I got over it through hard work and resilience. But it was a journey, man. And then I had a little pro day. The Colts found out about me. I came down on a 30-man visit, and they ended up taking me in the fifth. Great decision on their part. I'm blessed to have that. You know what I mean? And I'm just going to take full advantage of this whole situation until my career ends, I promise.
The situation right here is a contract year.
Yeah.
You think about it?
Not too much, because I got so much more on my plate. This is my first year as a full-time starter. That's on the plate. We'll worry about the rest later. You know what I mean? But as I do want to retire a coach, I wouldn't put that past. I do want to retire a coach. I love the organization. I love how they stand on family and principle, from Carly Ursay to Jim and all that. Like, it's guys that been here, it's equipment staffs that been here 18 years. Like, you know what I mean? That's love. They tell me stories. Actually, I was just talking to the mail guy. He was telling me a story about Reggie Wayne, because his suits used to get delivered, and he used to always have funny jokes for him when his suits get delivered. I love that type of stuff. I want to be a part of one of those jokes one day when I retire, and they can come back and tell, oh man, EJ and all the packages that used to be at his locker, stuff like that. I just love that. It's a big culture here, and they really appreciate their players.
Well, shout out to the mail guy, Doug Melton on that one.
I like that. EJ Speed with us here on the Fan on this Thursday. I got to ask you, and the answer might be a little bit of both, and it might vary between yourself and some other guys. I mean, I feel like, before camp and in camp, there is a confidence you guys have.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a quiet confidence? Is that a loud confidence when you guys are in the meetings that, hey, we're a good team. We're going to win games. We're going to go to the playoffs. I mean, is that a quiet thing, or are you guys boisterous that, your time is now, it's time to go?
Definitely. We got a lot of guys that we know we know who brings what to the table, because it's proven. We played with each other for so long, like with so many veteran guys that's coming back and got multiple years up under the belt of playing with each other. Our confidence is high because we can look at that person and be like, yeah, he can do that, and he can do that, and we hold each other at a high standard. And when we in the meeting room, we point out the bad and we celebrate the wins, and we just got to make it unfold for 18 games and then on into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl.
Day 3 pick, special teamer, turned into a full-time starter. EJ Speed, congrats on all of that. Good luck in this contract year. Stay healthy, man, and appreciate the time.
Can I ask you one other thing? Is that okay?
One more.
Well, no, I mean, you want to be in the media, don't you?
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
He is in the media.
Well,
He doesn't want to be in the media, man. How many more people listen
Shout out to the Church's Pod, man.
Listen
what
to
do you
this
like
show?
about podcasting?
It's just,
what do you like about that?
I like it as a way to express ourselves. The fans see us with a helmet on all the time, and they don't really know our personalities. So when we can turn on the podcast, and we can sit around and have real conversations and look at the fans' feedback, and they give us feedback on what we talked about, that's always love, man. And it's I just genuinely appreciate the feedback that all the fans give us on the show.
Plug it, right?
Yeah.
The Trenches with EJ Speed, Zaire Franklin. Available on all your podcasting platforms.
In sports radio, it's mostly, hey, what the hell are you talking about? This or that.
It is a great listen, so congrats on that as
Thank
well,
y'all.
EJ,
Thank y'all.
and, thanks for the time, man.
For sure.
That is Andy Sweeney's guy, EJ Speed, right there with us. How about giving a shout-out to the mail guy?
I like that.
Genuine love for the organization from EJ Speed.
What did he say? Zaire has all these packages, you know?
Reggie, right?
Oh, yeah.
He's representing Reggie Wayne.
I can imagine Reggie showed up and still shows up, and he's got quite a few things. Speaking of, podcasts, the Pivot podcast was there yesterday as well. That's Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder. Who's the third member of that?
Fred Taylor,
I believe it's
right?
Fred Taylor, yeah. So those three guys, I believe all three were at practice. I know they had an interview with Anthony Richardson yesterday. I'm not sure if they spoke with anybody else, but they were out there at Grand Park, so I'm sure they will release that at some point. And I like those guys, too. I think Crowder's hilarious.
Ryan Clark's
great.
son is a starting corner for Notre Dame this year.
Yeah,
Man, that is a who's who that's on Notre Dame.
Doesn't Plaxico's kid, right?
Urlacher's kid.
Jerome Bettis.
Mm-hmm.
It's a who's who.
Yeah, they do have a lot of former NFL fathers, kids on their
Better
teams.
get to that college football playoff, Freeman, or it's going to be hot seat next year.
Yeah, that parent
Hot
section is
seat.
going to be, loaded. Hall of Famers here and
Remember
there and
that
everywhere.
David Robinson's kid is one of their wideouts a few years back, Corey Robinson.
I would have talked to the parents more so than the actual players on the field. Sorry. Can I give you a story quickly? You'll find this funny. So we finished up with EJ Speed, and there was a storm that was getting ready.
I felt bad for Ryan Clark and company because they had Richardson.
They had Richardson, and they had to pack up with swiftness because this storm was getting ready to hit. Now, of course, I'm looking at my weather app, which is useless. We've already had this conversation many times on the show. So anyway, I mean, we got caught in the rain just a little bit. So I think you went to the media room, did you not? There, you went to the media room, maybe did some work, whatever. So I got out of there. So I get to my car. I'm using my wife's car at this point, and I can't find my keys, KB.
Oh boy!
And so I'm standing in the rain, and at this point, it's starting. Mark, you'll like this. It's starting to hail, but the wind is blowing so hard that it's not knocking me over. But I'm a big guy. It's moving me back. That's how hard this wind is blowing. KB, I looked through my book bag. It felt like minutes. I opened the equipment that I had. I'm like,
no.
And I did a survey.
Are we damaged? Is the equipment damaged?
No, don't worry about the equipment. It's
that's
okay.
all I care about.
Everything.
I don't care about you getting pelted with hail.
Everything is fine. But I'm like, I can't believe this because I did a survey before I left of, there was nothing on the ground there. I'm thinking, I left the keys there. I'm already wet. I'm soaked. I'm just going to have to walk back all the way. And you guys were going to see me walking back to the tent area to get my keys. They were in my left pocket the entire time.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, boy. That is humbling.
So you're dripping wet with rain and hail, and you had them in your pocket.
I got home, and it's like a 40-minute ride home. I got home, and I'm completely soaked. I look like a fat guy jumping in a swimming pool with his T-shirt on.
You don't want to come to the overhang of the Indy 11 building up there and maybe look through it over there?
Well, it was too. At that point, it was too late. I was already soaking wet.
Thank you,
what are you gonna do?
EJ Speed, for joining us. That will be up on the podcast. Again, off day for the Colts. 9 a.m. start time to practice tomorrow. Full pads for the Colts.
I had something the other day, but it wasn't in rain or anything like that. But I was leaving for work, and I'm like, where the hell is my phone? I can't find it. It was in my hand.
Oh.
I'm like looking around. I'm like, it was literally in my hand.
I think we all have.
We've done that
we
before.
all have been there. By the way, shout out to Derek. He's messaged me here. I mentioned that as we're watching the golf from the Olympics, which is just a normal golf tournament, 72 holes. Yes, they'll hand out gold, silver, bronze for first, second, third, but it's nothing too out of the ordinary in terms of how the competition looks. Currently, right now, and I think he's moved up a second, we have a person from Finland who, if you look at the spelling of his name, S-M-A-I, I was pronouncing that Sammy.
Okay, what is it?
Derek's wife is Finnish.
Okay, I didn't know that. Good job.
He goes, you have to learn how to say Finland in Finnish. Sammy is pronounced Saw-o-me? Saw-o-me?
Saw-o-me. Okay.
Is that what we're going with?
I listen, I know we talked to Bob Costas a couple weeks ago. Trying to learn these names has to be.
Well.
Even Dwayne Wade talked about that on the broadcast the last couple times he's done the USA
sound
games.
more Indiana than pronouncing old saw Omi's name here.
Listen,
Sammy.
If you say it with confidence, no one in the listening audience is going to know.
Tell that to Derek.
Well,
just slide in my DMs and handing me the Finnish dictionary here.
Well, he's married into that,
Well,
so he
yes,
has
he
to,
is.
because of family reasons, he has to learn how to say things in Finnish.
I greatly appreciate him for that. What'd you make yesterday? We'll have Scott Agnes here in about 10, but you brought it up. What'd you make of the U.S. and South Sudan on the hardwood yesterday?
Yeah, I said it. South Sudan is such a great story, man. I mean, it really is. And, they have a couple notable players that people may recognize. Wenyan Gabriel played with LeBron James and Anthony Davis with the Lakers. He played at Kentucky. Carly Jones, it's interesting. I don't know how closely you watched the game yesterday. Carly Jones has spent some good time in the G League. He played at Radford. He played the 1 year at Louisville where Chris Mack decided to ignore COVID protocols and they went to the NIT. But Carly Jones was really good there, and he was fantastic. I know during the broadcast, LeBron James and Eagle were talking about, or LeBron James, Dwayne Wade and Noah Eagle were talking, maybe if there's a spot at the, kind of back end of the roster. He's a good guard. I don't know. I found it, the thing that I can't understand is, and Brian Windhorst talked about this last night and this morning, is, Steve Kerr has come out and he said, don't think of this as an NBA season. We're just trying to win 6 games, go 6-0, and get the gold medal. And it doesn't matter how it always looks. I am just surprised that, kind of the middle back end of the roster, that it's seemingly Steve Kerr is listening to rhetoric. But not only that, Joel Embiid not playing a minute is weird yesterday. I can understand, game 1, he wasn't very good, but game 2, he doesn't play at all. That's odd. Jason Tatum not playing at all and then starting and playing 17 minutes. To me, you're going to totally disagree with this, KB. I almost wonder, Steve Kerr, is he trying to figure out things? Or does Steve Kerr know he can throw anyone on the floor and win a game? Do
you want to believe Steve Kerr at his word or no? Because his word,
tell what he's doing.
He actually gave a real answer to why he didn't play Embiid. And again, everyone can laugh at the answer, but we probably should relay what Steve Kerr said after the game. South Sudan is the most athletic, quickest team we'll face here in the Olympics. They don't really have big dudes. It's just really a bunch of wings. Mm-hmm. So that was part of the reason. Again, people can laugh at that answer, but obviously Serbia with Jokic and company is a little bit more front court centric or whatever, however you want to describe it. That was his rationale. And again, you can laugh at that answer for what it's worth.
Quickly, I'm not dismissing that, but it's still odd that you're having guys play no minutes and then start and play over 15 minutes.
Yeah, that is certainly weird.
That's a swing that we don't see in college or the NBA or anything else. He's asking us to believe in something that, as American basketball fans, we don't see our stars, start one game, and Joel Embiid was the focal point of the game against Serbia, and then he doesn't play, last night.
He doesn't need to be the focal point of anything right now.
Listen, I would agree with that.
Embiid has played so far. I'm getting mixed reactions here to old pronunciation of Sammy. Thank you to Will Haskett for reaching out. He goes, it's Sammy. Yes, the Finnish pronunciation is different, but the players have English-inflected preferences. Oh, okay. All right, here.
Yeah, but this is putting me between Will Haskett, who I've never met, but gives us time, gives us station time.
Insight.
Great insight. We love Will Haskett, and
we get a lot of compliments about Will Haskett's appearances on the show.
But it's Derek. It's one of our top listeners, right?
And I hate to pit them against each other.
I know he was out at the golf outing. We talked about him going to the Ole Miss Georgia football game.
I think it's a different Derek.
Oh, this is okay. Well, to hell with that, Derek. I'm kidding. All right, well then I'll roll with Will Haskett. I thought it was Derek White, not the NBA's version.
Well, speaking of Derek White, I will say that even though Halliburton, I thought, took his minutes fine, and you know what? Compliment to Halliburton. He came in the game and knocked down his first 2 shots. For all the chatter, and who knows how much Halliburton's hearing it. I mean, he strikes me as a dude that, is not oblivious to it. He knows that there's probably some chatter about him not playing. Come in and hit those 2 threes was great, but I just, last Scott Agnes this in 5. Unless a team goes full zone on the U.S. and the offense really stalls out, I don't see meaningful minutes for Halliburton. If you want to look at that game yesterday, and I did watch, pretty much the entire game, Halliburton never got in during meaningful minutes. I mean, they were up, 18 when he got in the first half?
17, 18 points.
And then he didn't get in the second half until
junk time.
Walk-on time. And he wasn't in the second rotation. He wasn't in that second unit. And Derek White is playing very good for Team USA right now. Like, I'm sitting there watching the game yesterday, and the player that I'm watching the most is outside of Halliburton was White. Because I'm like, the only way for Tyrese to get back into the rotation is for Derek White to look bad. What does Derek White do? 3 of 3 from behind the arc, creates 3 or 4 turnovers, and does everything that Steve Kerr would want.
He almost got injured. I don't know if you saw it.
I saw Holiday get a little banged up.
Yeah, they didn't call out a screen, and Derek White, I forget who it was. I forget which player from South Sudan kind of gave him a nice shoulder check to the back, and he was hobbling a little bit. And I thought at that point, okay, this might be, you don't want a guy to be injured, but, at this point, are you going to push it and keep Derek White in the game, or are you going to go with somebody else? And they did not go with somebody else. Before we go to a morning check down, can I give you one thing? I just saw this on Twitter. Within the last 30 minutes, Team USA Soccer has wished a happy birthday to their former coach, Greg Berhalter.
Yeah, I did see this. Yeah.
Go look at the comments on Twitter. This is why Twitter is made. For moments like this.
And you know what?
People hate this guy.
I mean, there was a moment where I feel like Jeff Saturday's birthday fell kind of in an awkward time period. Berhalter is much different than Saturday. Again, one of the greatest players. I think Berhalter, A, is not necessarily viewed as that, and B, his career, obviously, from a head coaching standpoint, far worse, far longer than Jeff Saturday's interim stint. But I see the posts like this, and I respect the social media team. I would post that thing at 1:22 in the morning.
Right. No, we're doing this
8 a.m.
8
First
a.m.,
thing in the morning. People get in the morning scroll in with their coffee, and you're going to throw that out there?
8 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Central Time. We're putting this sucker on Twitter X. I got to give them credit. You're right.
Unbelievable.
Oh, goodness. All right, coming up in about 5 minutes, Scott Agnes will join us. We'll talk some Halliburton Pacers with him. Let's jump into it. Morning check down. Let's go.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Butler Bulldogs Basketball. Season tickets are on sale now. Order by August 1st for your shot at the best seats in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets.
All right, as always, let's start training camp sound from the Colts yesterday. Again, no Shane Steichen meeting with the media yesterday. It was defensive coordinator Gus Bradley, offensive coordinator Jim Bob Cooter. I got to give those guys credit. Tons of energy from both of those guys. Really lighting up, talking about their respective positions, obviously, in offense and defense. Let's go to the offensive side. Last hour, we did defense. Jim Bob Cooter, we talked a lot about Alec Pierce in hour number 1. Here's the Colts offensive coordinator on Alec Pierce.
He had a great shot at a few today, and he went out and made some huge plays. It goes that way a little bit for wideouts. They're going to be, they're fighting and clawing and scratching to beat their DB for that catch, and quarterbacks trying to put the ball in a certain spot, and sometimes those are 50-50 balls we're trying to get more than 50% of, and Alec went out and made some big ones today. So, we can't get enough guys making big plays around here. That's always going to be the case, and Alec made a few good ones today.
Yeah, Joe Flacco uncorked one down the field. Great adjustment in the air by Alec Pierce to come down with that one. Did get a little banged up at the end of practice. He stayed at practice, didn't go back in, but fell on an airmail by Anthony Richardson trying to climb the ladder and make that play. Fell and kind of slammed his helmet. So maybe something just to keep an eye on, but it hasn't been a lot of fireworks from Alec Pierce or A.D. Mitchell in the 11-on-11 so far, but I thought Pierce had a really nice day yesterday. All right, Mark, cue the Olympic music. And by the way, this would be Indy's own. Michael Grady just won a gold medal for Team USA.
Man, what can't that guy do?
What can't he do is correct.
He's got every broadcasting job, and now he's in the Olympics.
Unbelievable. Michael Grady takes home gold in rowing. First Team USA gold medal in the men's 4 since the 1960 Olympic Games.
My God, good for them.
Liam Corrigan, Michael Grady, Justin Best, and Nick Mead. Didn't know if they trained at Eagle Creek for that one, but shout out there to Team USA with the gold. Some items to note today. First off, we teased it yesterday, Andy. Carmel's own Rajiv Ram, a hell of a doubles win over the duo of Rafa Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz on the clay courts.
How does that, no offense, how does that happen?
Well, and
that's unbelievable.
We're nerding out a little bit over this, but I do think there is an element of, in doubles, there is a lot of strategy involved. Sure. And That clearly rattled Nadal and Alcaraz in that one. So Rajiv Ram going for another medal here in the Olympics now is into the semifinal match there with his doubles partner. You're going to have the women's all around today for gymnastics. And we stink as a country at 3v3 basketball.
Yeah, I've seen some rhetoric from like one of the coaches, like we're getting better every game. Like
this isn't Rosie Bowen riding a bike.
This is
Come
not
on.
an 82 games schedule or 35 games
We're
in
gonna be
college
ready
basketball.
for LA in 28.
I just don't get how they came up with that team. How were those the best we're sending?
I know.
How about just
Can I throw those names at you again?
Yeah.
How
go
about
ahead.
Jaden Ivey? How about Mikal Bridges? How about Chet Holmgren? He seems like a versatile guy, maybe in the 3x3. How about Brandon Miller? Scotty Barnes?
Now, where are you coming up with these names? Are these guys that are really good, but they're not?
I thought
they're not stars yet. They're not Team
young
USA
dudes
yet.
that might want to be, in a little bit more of a marquee, moment here. And I get it, it's 3x3. I don't want to act like this is front and center in the Olympics, but it's of no. If Jaden Ivey wins a gold medal, we're going to mention it. Like, it's going to be good individual marketing. The Pistons are going to honor him at a game, and
sure,
good for him.
Yeah, sure.
It's not like these guys have established themselves in the, USA national team.
Well,
cycle.
I said Cooper Flagg.
Sure.
Kid going to Duke who, was on the team, maybe even some of the team select guys. So
I would say the people that didn't make Team USA, why not
Trace
consider
Jackson
them?
Davis,
Yeah.
wasn't he on the select team earlier?
He was?
I don't get it.
Lily King tonight, 200-meter breaststroke. This, by all accounts, will be the final individual event of her illustrious Olympic career. She qualified 6th in the semis. She probably will be a part of the IM relay, which I think is always kind of a cool event to see all of them, all the specialties for their respective strokes. They get in the pool one final time, but individually, this very well could be it for Lily King tonight in the pool.
And our guy Chris Giuliano this morning out in the 50 free, also didn't make it in the 200 free. So Notre Dame swimmer there. He's going to have at least one medal, one gold. We'll see if there's anything left on his plate. All right, that's enough for the Olympics. Quickly, baseball, Reds over the Cubs yesterday, 13-4. Cardinals all over the Rangers in front of 19 fans in the heat in St. Louis. 10-1 your final there. Indianapolis Indians 7-5 over Toledo. Indians have now won 8 straight games, so good for them. Quickly, NFL, Texans, Bears tonight, 8 o'clock.
I can't believe that we're
on
mentioning this.
on ESPN. But a big one, the Bucs signed their offense, their left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, got a 5-year, $140 million deal. It looks like he'll make about $18 million this year. They'll tack that on. The deal's actually for $158. So highest paid offensive line in the history of the NFL.
Boy, I remember Samson Ebicom cooking him to ice that game last year. That's the play. Those are the plays that have been missing, frankly, for the Colts. And Ebicom did that to one of the best in the league. Very, very quickly, Big Ten tournament announced, men's and women's basketball tournaments for the next 4 years. You'll have it in Indy this year and in 27 for the men, this year for the women, next year for the women. It's going to bounce around Chicago, Detroit, and Vegas.
Yep, Vegas.
In those other years.
Yeah, got to watch out for Vegas. All right, Scott Agnes joins us next. Halliburton and Pacers conversation. We do it next. We keep it rolling here. 8 o'clock hour. Wake up call, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, our next guest, you hear him every Thursday with Scott Agnes, talking a little Pacers, a little Fever, a little Team USA as well. And if my social media is not lying to me on this Thursday morning, Scott, were you in the building last night with a Caitlin Clark public appearance? Did I see this correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. Outside downtown on White River to see Jordan Davis, Mitchell Tenpenny. It was the last song of the night, and they brought up Caitlin and Lexi Hull of the Fever.
Look at that. So we've typically gotten lately the number 22 jerseys from our musicians here at Indy, but this was actually on stage, Caitlin Clark and Lexi Hull.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have a break in the schedule, because you're right. Before then, it was always the artist wearing her jersey. This time she was able to join them. I think we're at like 4 different artists now, by the way, that have worn her jersey just in this summer here in Indy. It's crazy.
It is. Scott Agnes with us. Well, I'm glad you guys had a good time out there. Scott Agnes with us, Fieldhouse Files.
Love me some White River.
All right, so Tyrese Halliburton does play 8 minutes. He gets some walk-on time at the end. I mean, obviously got some second quarter run, came in. I thought he played well. This is after, of course, the last few games, game number 1, not playing at all. As it pertains to Tyrese Halliburton's lack of minutes, are you passionate about this subject, Scott? What do you make of it?
This is exactly what I expected for him, to play spot minutes and play his role when called upon. And so I thought it was a little bit of an overcorrection last night for Steve Kerr to go from sitting Tatum to having him start. I thought that was a little bit aggressive, rather than just saying, "Hey, yeah, let's try to get everybody involved here," especially because it's another blowout. But as it pertains to Tyrese, the last game was a perfect situation for him to get 8 minutes in there, get some run, make his Olympic debut. But all along, he was never going to be one of those core top 6 players involved this year.
Scott, I'm guessing he'll play actually a decent amount coming up this weekend. Sounds like Puerto Rico is awful, and the U.S. will have pretty much everything clinched that they need to. But when they get to the medal round, quarter, semifinal, final game, I guess based off the answer you just gave us, you're not expecting many, if any, real minutes for Tyrese Halliburton in the games that really matter.
Yeah, that's right. And if anything, I would expect for this rotation to be shrinking even more. He's at 10 right now. And I could see him go to 6 or 7. Remember, it's a 40-minute game, so already there's less minutes to go around. And then Kevin Durant coming back, it kind of had a trickle-down effect across the team. Plus, Derek White has been a standout performer. He's been really standing out here. And so because of that, that's directly impacted the other guards as well. So, no, unless in a blowout or a need basis, I would not expect for Ty to get in there.
Scott Agnes with us, Fieldhouse Files. He joins us on this Thursday on the Payless Liquors hotline. You called it an overcorrection. I think that, we've talked about it on the show, and KBS, hey, what did you make of yesterday's game? And that, to me, has been the thing. It's like Steve Kerr, we're not used to guys in the NBA, or Scott, I know you watch a ton of college basketball, go from 0 minutes to then starting, right? Or go from like 20 minutes to not playing at all, whether it be Tatum, Embiid. Halliburton probably doesn't fit this mold, but there are a couple guys that their minutes are fluctuating. Why do you think that is? Is he trying to find what is going to work when the games get a little bit more difficult next week? Or in the end, does Steve Kerr kind of know that whoever he puts on the floor is going to be a superstar and they're probably going to win these games? What do you think it is? I can't figure out what he's doing with his minutes, I guess.
Yeah, I think for one, you do have that kind of liability at the end, like you were just saying, that anybody you put out there is probably going to work out. Let's be real. And if they do struggle, that's an issue. But so I think it's been a combination of different stuff across this whole spectrum, Andy, starting with all the way in Las Vegas. And there, I think you could tell several players were guaranteed starter minutes and starting time. And then from there, you're trying to figure out rotations and lineups that fit. And realistically, I think Anthony Davis should be the starter at center over Joel Embiid, who just has not been good in this FIBA play. But beyond that, then you're just looking for, who's going to be your dominant scorer of the second unit, which guys want to run versus which guys want to play more slow it down game. And so if you go back to the Tatum conversation, part of the reason I thought that was a little bit overblown was one, presumably Steve Kerr told him before the game, hey, by the way, you're probably out of the rotation this game. Now, if he didn't do that, then you have a problem. But all these coaches tend to do that. They'll go the other way. They might go, hey, Ty, this guy is not playing tonight, so be ready. I'm going to try to get you 12 minutes out there. That communication is massive. And then going from there, I think you've seen them lean, Andy, a lot more on defense. That's why we've seen the lineups with Drew Holiday, with Derek White, with Bam Adebayo. All three of those guys in particular have been tremendous on the defensive end. And so I think they've been favoring that, knowing any of these guys have an offensive game. And that's why I think we've seen less of Tatum, too, is he's more of a ball stopper. He's more of a dominant offensive player, but he can create on his own versus, they're a lot more wanting to move the ball and get everybody else involved. And so for all those reasons, they're just trying to find the right combination. And I think they've had the benefit the last couple games of giving a guy the night off like Joel Embiid the other night, whose hands were in his pockets like the first quarter. That told me right away, yep, he got the call. He's not playing.
Yeah, if I were Joel, I would have asked if I could go watch another Olympic event instead of having to show up last night. Scott Agnes, Fieldhouse Files, where you can find his work. He's with us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Scott, it wouldn't be an appearance from you without me asking you a Bally Sports question, but I actually think we have some news. I don't know how much fans will enjoy it, but I guess it's at least open to another chunk of the audience. Could you fill us in on what was announced with Bally and I believe Comcast earlier this week?
Yeah, the latest news on that front is that those who have Bally Sports Indiana and have Comcast will be able to get Bally Sports Indiana. For the last 3 months or so, they had been, let's call it offline, no deal reach. Now, here's the bad news here is if you have Comcast and want Bally Sports, you got to make sure, I think you have their top package or one of their top packages, the ultimate tier. You can't just have the kind of their starter plan of like a 25 channels or 125. But again, it goes back to what we said, KB, a couple of years ago. At least there's a way, because a couple of years ago, you wanted to watch the games, you wanted to pay for an app, and that wasn't out there. And so Comcast customers in Central Indiana and nationwide are able to get their local Bally Sports channel thanks to this new agreement.
So just to remind everybody, coming up for this upcoming Pacers season, it's going to be pretty much the same exact way. If you want to watch the Pacers, you're going to have to pay for Bally, whether it comes with your cable package or you've got to pay for the app, or in these cases, like you just mentioned with Comcast, pay for an extra package. That is the assumption here for this 2024-2025 season, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm going off of. We haven't gotten a complete, clear picture just yet, including the wild card of, could I subscribe to Pacers League Pass specifically on Amazon and watch that way? Because I know a lot more people now have Amazon Prime and are watching that way. Either way, it would cost additional, but we're still trying to get clarity, I think. But I do think it's going to be a repeat, much like the team. It'll be for the TV coverage next year.
Scott Agnes with us on this Thursday. Fieldhouse Files, you can find his work. He joins us on the Payless Liquors hotline. We've talked about Tyrese Halliburton and Team USA. What about Team Canada? They're 2-0. Andrew Nemhard coming off the bench, playing good minutes. I mean, the other night he played more than 23 minutes. He's not shooting the ball well. We know it's a loaded backcourt there with Gilgeous-Alexander, Jamal Murray, and others. What have you made of Team Canada, specifically Andrew Nemhard?
Yeah, they've been kind of what's been called the group of death there, just a brutal group play lineup, and they've done quite well. And so if you're a Pacer fan and wanting to watch one of your own, you're going to want to watch Nemhard with Canada rather than Team USA. And this is a team that I don't think will win it this year, but it's the team to be keeping an eye on for, say, the next Olympics. They've done a great job over the last decade or so, just continuing to add firepower, whether it's Lou Dort or they've had Jamal Murray coming off the bench. Like, this guy's an NBA champion. Like, that's when you know you've reached the level that you have. And this is what Team USA has been talking about is, yes, we're good, but everybody else, like Canada, has gotten much, much better along the way. And Nemhard's just doing what he does. He's providing that defense, providing that full court pressure, just being a steady hand, not putting up any massive numbers by any means. But again, they have guys that can do that. And so he's just owning his role and starring in it.
Scott, I guess we're kind of checking the August, box here of it's probably the quietest month in the NBA calendar, especially if you removed it from an Olympic year. So as we kind of go through random Pacers topics, G League-wise, will they play all their games in that Noblesville Arena? I have no idea if that Noblesville Arena is ready or not.
It is not ready. It'll be one more year. Originally, that was the plan, was for a year of construction, but it had some delays and some snags early on, and so I believe they kind of have the outline of it now just about done. But to your question, yes, there will be one more year of games at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Then every home game will be up there in Noblesville.
All right, I have one more for you, Scott. How much do you care that we stink Team USA 3-on-3 basketball?
Yeah, figure this out for us, Scott.
Does it bother you? It's not 5-on-5, but what the hell are we doing, Scott? Come on, we can do better than this.
Here's the interesting thing about that is I think there'd be a lot more interest in NBA players playing in that. I think the challenge in that one, I'm not for certain, Andy, is you have to actually play in some qualifying events to reach the Olympics.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
And that's why you have basically Jimmer Fredette and a group of other guys out there. The women's team's much better, much more.
But they can't win either.
Correct, but at least you have players I think we're familiar with is a little bit helpful there. But I do like that setting. I think they've done a nice job. It's outdoor ball, but it's a roof, and it really has that city feel, which is exactly what 3-on-3 is.
I mean, the U.S. team, you got Jimmer Fredette, and the other three names, they might as well be X-Gamers to me. Dylan Travis, Canyon Barry, Kareem Maddox. Are they in the breakdancing? Are they skateboarding? What are they doing here?
Yeah, Scott, you'll know this. Canyon Barry.
Who you play for is what you could do, right? Like, what events will they do? And
literally,
those guys, no one would get it.
No chance.
Canyon Barry shot, what is it, Rick Barry's son, I believe? Canyon Barry shot free throws underhanded, Scott. He did the underhand free throw thing. He was at a mid-major, then he went to, I think, to Florida for 1 year. He shot underhand free throws.
Circus act playing for us.
I saw that, and I was wondering, where did I miss this? Because surely him doing this in like a qualifying event or something would have become a story, and we would have seen an explanation. But yeah, that I saw bits and pieces of that, including that, and I was like, what are we doing here?
Scott, as always, thank you, sir. We know it's a quiet time. We'll certainly give you a couple weeks off here. We always appreciate our convos, and with the fever, starting back up here in a few weeks, maybe your August is not as light as it usually is.
Yeah, they've already started up, in fact, right now. But games, to your point, yep, in a couple of weeks.
August 16th for the fever. Thank you, Scott.
All right, thanks, guys.
Scott Agnes right there, Payless Liquors Hotline.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up hour number 2. On the other end, a play we haven't talked about yesterday in Colts camp. I want KB's thoughts on that. We'll do it next. Wake Up Call, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
It's kind of crazy to think 1 month from today, Andy Sweeney, we will have just wrapped up Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Kurt Cignetti's debut.
I can't wait, man.
Ryan Walters taking on the Fighting JMVers. We are in the month of August, and that's your August 31st slate right there. Purdue, Indiana State, noon. IU, Florida International as well. And then Notre Dame in College Station at night. We're here. College football's here. Notre Dame had the first practice yesterday. I know Coach Sig and Coach Ryan Walters, very similar from a scheduling standpoint. And here we go. 12-team playoff. Here we go.
Dude, I'm so ready. I know, by the way, our podcast is up. We'll be having another one that will drop on Wednesday. Big Guys on the Big Ten. You can find that website wherever you get your podcast, 1075thefan.com. I am, dude, I'm jacked up for football. I am so ready. I'm already ready for the NFL anyway because we love the NFL. We're following the Colts and everything. Just being out there at practice, basically I've only not been there one practice, and you've been to every single practice, doing our shows out there, talking to the guys. I sure hope the Colts can live up to it. And then, I said this on our podcast. I'm a believer that Indiana will not be second to last in the Big Ten. I know that's not. Boy, Andy, you're really going out on a you're really going out on a limb there by saying they're not going to be 17th out of 18th. I'm not sure Purdue is even going to be last. I think UCLA is going to be dead last in the Big Ten this year.
Because Deshaun Foster got stage fright in the Big Ten media?
No, I mean, listen, it's a new coach. It's a new staff, even though I don't think too much of Chip Kelly. They have, I think, potentially the most difficult Big Ten schedule, does UCLA. So, again, can Hudson Card be better at Purdue? He's got to get that completion percentage up. Ryan Walters, is he going to be there with that defense? As a defensive guy at some point, you got to really start to see that. So we'll be watching that. And then, Kirk Cignetti, can he bring offensive competency? Indiana had chances to beat teams, including Louisville, right down the street at Lucas Oil. They should have won that game. And I know there are others. They should have been better. I know Tom Allen at times had them ready, but I felt like they weren't a competent offensive team. And if he can make them competent on offense with his bravado and everything like that. But dude, I'm just so ready to get college football going. I mean, we got even games on Saturday, August 24th. And we got Florida State playing Georgia Tech in Dublin. How about that?
Nothing says Dublin like
Georgia Tech.
Florida State and Georgia Tech. Off day for the Colts today. Back at it 9 a.m. tomorrow. Full pads tomorrow. There was a play that stood out to you yesterday that we have not discussed.
Yeah, I mean, I know you kind of mentioned this in your breakdown on the website 1075thefan.com, but I had a great view. They're doing 11 on 11, and if you were watching, and by the way, I like Steichen at the end of practices going back to 11 on 11. I like that. But, they're on field two, so if you've been there to Westfield, you look at the field that's on the right, they were on that field, and I had a perfect, just a perfect view of Anthony Richardson dropping back and boom, 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 and he throws it. He goes deep. And I can't remember who the corner and safety were. It could have been maybe some of the guys who haven't been too good. And maybe you remember it was down the right sideline. And Richardson put it in a spot between those guys where they could not get to it. And he laid it right over the left shoulder for Pittman. And it dropped right in Pittman's breadbasket, if you will. And Pittman dropped it. And Pittman was pissed. He was not happy that he dropped it. And that's a play that he makes all the time. So it's not like a hot take about him. But I don't know. It was just that play. Sometimes you can get infatuated with, they're running the football in practice and there's no big tackles and they're, you can't sack Anthony Richardson. So it's hard to gauge some of the stuff because you're like, okay, would that guy have grabbed his shoulder and changed the play? And there's some, and then yesterday especially, he didn't have his best day and there was a lot of underneath stuff. So you get in those positions, KB, and it's like, what can you really evaluate? But Anthony Richardson, boom, that back foot hit, he let it go, and he threw an absolute dime, and there's not a better pass that you could have if you're a quarterback than that play. And it ended up not working out. And what does that say about the defense? That's a different discussion. But I don't know. It was just that play. I'm like, that's the type of play where Steichen and Ballard or, Jim Bob Cooter and everybody everybody else, they're watching the film and they're like, okay, this is why we think this guy is a thrower of the ball and not simply a guy that's a gadget quarterback or a guy that has to be able to run the ball.
I think the young kids nowadays call it a dart.
It is a good throw, man.
Frozen rope. Right, picture kind of corner safety leaves that little window in a zone, and most guys can't throw it 20 yards down the field, again, on a frozen rope right into that window. But that is exactly what Richardson did on that play, and like you said, Pittman dropped it and was very unhappy about it afterwards. 7 of 12, Anthony Richardson, yesterday for him. Again, outside of that, I thought it was a little bit more of a dink and dunk type of day from him. It was one of the more active throwing days he's had. We mentioned it a little bit during yesterday's show. He hasn't had a ton of these, even 10 throw days. Yesterday he had 12 of them in the team setting. So off day today, back to full pads coming up tomorrow for the Colts.
How hot's it supposed to be tomorrow, by the way? Have you looked? Because
I have not. No.
2 days ago, it was deadly hot. Yesterday, it was pretty hot. I don't mind saying. I'm trying to look at what it's going to be. There is some rain in the forecast tomorrow, but it looks like while we're there, KB, it's going to be high 70s and 80s tomorrow, which would be
that sounds great. Well, and again,
fantastic.
I mean, you're starting an hour earlier, so
fair point.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, we'll be on the air. I don't know how we're going to be doing, watching practice and doing the show. We'll do that tomorrow. Let's take a break. On the other end, more Colts discussion. I wanted to bring up as well, I'm writing a blog for the website, KB. I just wanted your thoughts on, if things went well for the Colts this season, what would that look like? I want to hit on that. One more hour to go. Wake up call, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
Well, thank you to EJ Speed. He joined us earlier. Colts linebacker hopped on the show. We had that at the in the 8 o'clock hour. That'll be up on the podcast, and we'll be back out at Grand Park tomorrow morning for that session. Yesterday, Andy, we talked a lot about the Hard Knocks clip that we saw, what was that, Tuesday night, that played out of what the Colts were, I guess, asking the Giants for in terms of trading up that number 6 overall pick. And we went through that trade scenario. You said you had another additional thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, just a couple follow-ups. I'm just going to throw a couple things your way, okay, KB? And you can kind of take these wherever we want to go. I got thinking about the Neighbors thing, and we mentioned this a little bit yesterday, but, knowing that Chris Ballard knowing two things in the offseason, that Chris Ballard did at least call on Justin Jefferson. Again, the Vikings were not going to do anything there, but he made that call. And then, we need not forget that. That's something maybe a month ago or so we talked about. And then, he did try to move up to 6 to take what I think will be a stud wide receiver in Malik Neighbors. And I know it did not get done, so I know Colts fans roll their eyes. Well, everyone else can make a move, but we can't. And I actually don't put it on Ballard. The Giants didn't want to move up, and obviously you didn't see a bunch of trades in round 1, the early parts of the draft, like we thought might happen. And so I wonder if even though it didn't happen, if people take this offseason and realize that Ballard did try to kind of go off Ballard's script a little bit with getting a wide receiver in here, moving up in the draft. So that to me would be number one. The second thing is, and I just wonder, and I know these guys are pros, and I know they have egos, and I know this may be a nothing burger, but, I wonder, that was a story, that came out yesterday. Well, KB, players hear that. Players hear that. A guy that has a chip on his shoulder already in A.D. Mitchell. Like right now, he's wearing number 10 because 10 other wide receivers were drafted before him in April. I wonder how A.D. Mitchell takes that. Not that he's mad at the organization or Ballard, but, they tried to move up for a wide receiver he played in the same conference with, right? Obviously LSU and when AD was there at Georgia. And so I just wonder, a guy that already has a chip on his shoulder, I just wonder if that adds even more to it that, hey, before they took you, they tried to move up and get another wide receiver as well. So those are just a couple things I thought that we didn't talk about yesterday when we were kind of breaking down, hey, Ballard and the Colts did try to go up, and they did try, to make a deal with the Giants to go get a wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't know how much I think A.D. Mitchell's got to worry about himself, and I don't think he can get caught up in they tried to trade up to the number 6 overall pick and take a wideout. A.D. Mitchell was taken 52nd overall. So I don't know how much of it is on that element to it. I do find it interesting. Again, hindsight is very 20/20, but as you start to look at the names, I think if you did a poll right now, I think you'd have the overwhelming majority of fans would not want to make that trade. And I think that looks so different if we went back to Friday of the draft. But now that you're
saying right now fans are like, nah, don't give me Neighbors, give me the combination of Latu and Anthony Gould, who, by the way, Jim Bob Cooter talked pretty well of him yesterday. The Gould's a player they like.
He made another play at the end of practice. Obviously, A.D. Mitchell falls into that trade package. And then, a future second-round pick.
Doesn't that make sense, too, with the Ebukam injury?
Right.
Injury that you're like, oh, now we have Latu for depth? Yeah.
Sure. Hindsight is beyond 20/20. Yeah. So, I think that's a huge reason why it now is being played out kind of in that light there. And again, I kind of asked the unfair question to Stephen Holder yesterday, does this mean anything different for future off seasons moving forward? If I could answer my own question, I would tend to think it probably doesn't in Ballard's eyes because, you did end up drafting A.D. Mitchell, and just in reality, it's not like you're going to be sitting there at the 15th, or at least you hope you won't be sitting there at the 15th overall pick. And by all accounts, and I know there's some debate, was it Malik Neighbors, was it Rome Odunze? Having 3 wideouts go in the top 9 is not a given on an annual basis. So I do think that is another element to kind of factor in here.
Can I ask you one other thing on the wide receivers? We've been talking about the Alec Pierce and the A.D. Mitchell stuff. Alec Pierce, and again, I heard Jake and Jimmy talk about this, and I think for the most part everyone would agree. Alec Pierce being a second-round pick is always going to put pressure on him. It's always going to make, for us here in Indianapolis, the expectation may be higher. Now, in a couple years, if he ends up going somewhere else, they're not going to have, and this was kind of Jake and Jimmy's point, they're not going to have if he were to go to the Rams in a couple years, they're not going to view him as, hey, he needs to come in here and be kind of a big-time wide receiver. We're relying on him to be a big-time wideout. Well, here in Indianapolis, I think at least the first couple years of his career, we have, and so Pierce being a second-rounder gets all of that, he has that pressure. What kind of pressure does Mitchell have on him? Does he have kind of the same pressure? I mean, we have micromanaged Alec Pierce through 2 seasons. It feels like, the good, the bad, and everything else. What is A.D. Mitchell? I mean, does he have that same kind of conversation? What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, easily. I mean, he's a second-round wideout. I mean, look at Deebo Samuel. Look at DK Metcalf. Look at Terry McLaurin. Look at A.J. Brown. I mean, there are plenty of wideouts in the NFL that have been drafted in that range and have turned out to be great, great players. I think in today's college football, with how deep wideout classes are, second-round picks are thought of in an extremely high light at that position especially. So, yeah, I see no reason why A.D. Mitchell wouldn't be, used with the same microscopic lens that Alec Pierce should be used with as well. Now, again, is there context with Pierce's lack of production through the first 2 years?
Sure there
I do.
is. Yeah.
Just with the quarterback play that he's had. Theoretically, Anthony Richardson provides a little bit of a different element for A.D. Mitchell in that light. But, yeah, I mean, I think second-round wideouts, to me, it's a different story now in, how maybe it was viewed even, 5, 10, 15 years ago, and just how that position has turned into. You still have plenty of first-round wideouts that have obviously had great careers as well, but I would not understand why we would all of a sudden grade A.D. Mitchell or look at A.D. Mitchell any differently than Alec Pierce. College career-wise, I don't know. If you put their numbers next to each other, I would guess
Pierce has better numbers, right?
Is it? Is a Pierce number?
I would imagine so.
I thought Pierce only had like the 1 year of note, really.
I would have to look it up on
Cincinnati.
And that Cincinnati team was loaded.
Sure, I mean, that was a playoff team.
That was a big-time team.
So that, obviously with Mitchell, you have the big plays in the big moments, the college football playoffs, the 5 touchdowns in each of those 5 games. I do want to go back to something I said early in the show, half joking, half serious. Right now, to me, if I'm Julian Blackmon, I just hold out. I'm like, wait a minute, this is what you guys have at safety around me? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and hold out because I know how important I am. I mean, it's just day after day goes by, and it's Blackmon making a play. And again, he's a strong safety, and we're seeing him make plays 20, 30 yards down the field that no other safety has made, not even the free safeties on this roster so far. So that competition for Nick Cross at free safety right now, I would say it is rather open. I still, if you're going to make me label it, I'd call Cross a favorite. But right now, Ronnie Harrison Jr., a linebacker, turned back to safety for the Colts from late last season, and Rodney Thomas II continue to get some reps.
Didn't he get benched last year? I mean, Rodney Thomas, multiple times, he got benched.
So that's where I am scratching my head at exactly what's going on at safety right now next to Julian Blackmon. And again, as much as I love Blackmon, we can't ignore the injury history. And if you hear Blackmon discuss, what is a goal for him this season, he's very honest about, there's a part of it where I've got to finish a season. I've got to stay healthy. It's not like you've had this Iron Man in him at safety. So that, to me, is where I continue to probably echo a very similar sentiment I had back in March and April and May of, if you made me pick one position group that's the biggest question mark on the entire roster before corner, I would say safety.
Yesterday, defensive coordinator Gus Bradley met with the media. He was asked about that free safety position and the battle. Here's what he had to say.
I think that was one of the positions we looked at yesterday where we started to see some flashes where, the execution part is there. So now when you see them play with good execution, you can kind of judge their speed then. They're not thinking as much, so we still got some work to do there as far as our evaluation, but it's going in the right direction.
He says it's going in the right direction. I don't know. I listened to that 15-second clip. I can't really tell what Gus Bradley thinks. And to me, I probably feel this way a little bit at tight end. I mean, Jelani Woods hasn't stood out where you're like, okay, this guy's going to be a starter. Maybe it happens in the preseason. Maybe it happens once we get to the season. I mean, KB, you know this. They can't sell us. They can't sell us this free safety position group right now. They can't do it.
Well, they've done it for 5 months. What makes you think they're going to stop?
Well, I just the last few months, though, we haven't seen these guys play. And now we're starting to see them play, and I kind of don't expect the preseason to give us any, I don't know, bigger thoughts that one of these guys is ready to step up. I don't understand not bringing somebody in.
Well,
at
especially
at this point, you got the money.
We're starting to reach more critical evaluation.
We're halfway
points.
through training camp.
Like a week from Sunday is the first preseason game. Full pads on again tomorrow. There will be multiple full padded practices in all likelihood next week. A week from today, training camp is over. A week from today, literally is 2 weeks from today, is the final training camp practice when you have those joint sessions with the Cardinals. Not to act like Arizona is some potent passing offense, but Kyler Murray can chuck it down the field. You would think you would like to evaluate other safeties in that mix there. So, I probably sound like a broken record because, again, it's been such a constant for me over the past few months, but I think you would like to see Nick Cross just take this job and leave no doubt, if you will, in this competition. And I think there's other position battles where I feel like we are seeing a little bit more separation. Some we aren't, some we are. And I thought exiting the spring, just based off how much they played Cross, we would continue to see that in camp. And here, as of late, it started to be a little bit more of a, hey, let's throw some other guys in the mix there. And it's not like these other guys, it'd be one thing, Andy, if like the other guys are, hey, he was a second-round pick and we've been waiting for him.
Bingo.
Or, hey, he's new to our system and we're waiting for him. Ronnie Harrison Jr., he's played multiple positions and he's moved from strong safety to linebacker. Well, that's not really a free safety. And again, Ronnie Thomas II has been benched before and has all these starts. When I hear that Gus Bradley sound, though, I think there's been moments where, Bradley's been asked about respective defensive players in his tenure and has given some honest thoughts on those guys. And I don't hear that in that answer. Like, I think if he wanted to, he could be like, yeah, we need to see more consistency from Nick. I mean, he has singled guys out before or has explained reasons why they're not playing as much as some people feel like they should be playing. And when I hear Gus talk about that group, I don't hear that same sentiment.
This is the wrong word, but it feels like they're babying that group a little bit.
No, I think that's actually a good word.
Is that the right word? It feels like that position maybe isn't being treated like every other position. I don't know. The NFL has made it clear outside of two or three guys that they're just not going to pay big money for safeties. One thing I wanted to bring up with you. You mentioned Julian Blackmon. If he has, I think this would be for next offseason, depending on what happens this offseason. If he has a really good year and he plays 17 games or close to 17 games, and obviously we can talk about postseason and everything else, I wonder what his value then is. Because, right now it doesn't feel like at strong safety or free safety, there is, you talk about passing the torch, right? We talked about that with Ryan Kelly. Eventually, if Ryan Kelly isn't back at center next year, would he pass the torch to Tanner Bortolini, right? That's a conversation that we have had. It doesn't feel like at either safety position there is a passing of the torch moment. At the end of this year, Julian Blackmon, you're either going to have to re-sign the guy or they're going to have to go out and probably completely revamp their safety position in the offseason. That's almost how I view it.
Well, and another thing, just to reiterate on Blackmon, and this, probably hindered what his free agent market looked like last offseason. If you remove, he tore his Achilles in practice his second year in the league. So let's just remove that, however you want to describe it. The other 3 seasons, he's missed somewhere to about 2 to 3 games each year. Now, that sounds like a small number, but just go back to the end of last season. You didn't have Blackmon for Atlanta, Vegas, and Houston. You went 1-2 in those games.
Right.
What was the difference in you making the playoffs or not?
Yeah.
It's
a possession.
And we have a month to get more into this, but I think right now, if you were going to predict the Colts season, in my opinion at least, I'd probably predict them right there in the playoff mix where 1 to 2 games is really going to matter.
1,000%. Yep.
And Blackmon, to me, is the type of player where his availability means that much to your football team. You felt it last year. So even if you want to say, hey, we're going to have, I feel good about free safety, which, again, that's not the position Blackman plays. I would disagree with that. But let's say the Colts say that. It's no guarantee Blackman's playing 17 games for you. So if he misses 2 or 3, that could be the difference for you because, again, he's just that critical of a guy for you. I think that kind of adds to it.
Where was he? Do you remember where he ranked on your indispensable list?
3.
You had him 3. I mean, I had him top 5. I can't remember where he was, but he was top 5. I kind of feel like in the last 48 hours, he's crept up my list.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had Bernard Ryman 1. And,
right.
A reason why I have Ryman 1 is theoretically if Ryman gets hurt, now you're exposing Richardson. With Blackman, if he gets hurt, you're not exposing the face of the franchise, to an injury. So that I don't know if I could get him much higher than that, but
you almost want to.
Yeah, still.
I do. I might have him second now on my
I
my
think
list.
3 is pretty fair. Anything on your Olympic viewing schedule today
No,
that you care of?
What do we even have today? I got to be honest, I don't know. What do we have? What do we have popping? Do the women play today? The basketball wise?
Women are back on the floor basketball wise.
Okay.
Belgium for them.
Oh,
I
I'll
think
watch that.
Germany is the best team in their group, so they will play them third. Here in the group stage.
I'll probably watch Simone Biles and stuff tonight. I probably won't watch it this
you
afternoon.
get the all-around for the women.
The Sweeney household has a plumbing issue.
Oh, no.
I texted you guys at 9 o'clock last night. Yeah.
By the way, I want to get to your
backed
plumbing
up.
issue, but thank you to everybody out there. We're good to go on the garbage disposal in the Bowen household.
Oh, yeah. So what happened? Did you do it yourself? Did you have a neighbor come over? Did you have a plumber? What exactly did you get
Got
into?
under there and the old reset button. Mark,
That's it?
I think you also mentioned that.
There you go, Mark.
Very nice on that end. So the spoon is out. The reset button is on. We are back to normal. Our house is smelling like normal.
I'm scared to death. We have a plumber going to be there the next couple hours.
You said
to
multiple
the house.
buckets of water.
Well, I had about 3 or 4 buckets of water needed to be taken out of the basement. Thank goodness it's a spot in the basement where the water can, the water can be quarantined to an area, so it's not.
Can we not
running
use that word?
Well,
I feel like I'm back in COVID.
I couldn't think of another word to use.
Quarantine, unbelievable.
It's quarantined to a little corner.
I'm gonna put the mask on that water back there in the corner.
I'm scared to death because I know nothing on plumbing, so I don't know if this is. I don't know if this is like a couple $100. I don't know if it's $500. I don't know if it's $1,000. Like, I have no idea. Today could be a very good day in the Sweeney household, or it could be a tragically bad day in the Sweeney household with the plumbing issue.
Doesn't sound too optimistic on this Colts day off.
I'm scared to death. And, it's never good when people tell you, do the Drano and then vinegar and baking soda with boiling water. It's like, brother, I've done all those things. That's why I'm calling a plumber. They didn't work.
Speaking of buckets of water, it does sound like we're getting a whole lot of water pushed back in the old pool in Paris. It's a slow pool, right? That's what they're saying there.
How is it a slow pool? Are they they're gonna end up blaming Lucas Oil? You guys in Indy, you had the fast pool. Like, okay.
Now, did you see Michael Phelps' reaction watching the French dude Marchand, the great swimmer?
I did not see that. I have seen the man bun that Michael Phelps has.
Yes.
A look that I could never pull off.
So Phelps' coach is also the coach of this French guy.
Oh, is he? Okay.
I believe there's an Arizona State connection there somewhere. I think Phelps is tremendous.
He's good, yeah.
On camera.
Yeah, he's good.
And, they showed him during the race yesterday, his emotion. He's going nuts for the guy coming back and winning that race. But I don't know if I felt this way about Phelps when he was an athlete, but I'm like, man, he's really good on camera. And I get it's the Olympics and it's swimming, so we're only going to see him, once every 4 years. But I've really enjoyed him. Dwayne Wade, I could probably, yeah.
I'm kind of with you.
Phelps, I'm kind of like, oh, wow, I really enjoy his insight. And I love Rowdy Gaines. But I've also enjoyed how NBC's utilized Phelps. I see he's doing a little bit of the golf right now, too.
Yeah, I was wondering if he was helping with the golf, or he just popped in and kind of did an interview to set up, the day of swimming and everything else.
Yeah, probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, Phelps is good on TV, man. He is. He's really good.
Yeah, but he's been really good. So tonight, yes, you will get Lily King in the pool. Again, this is her last individual final of a illustrious Olympic career for her. She was 6th in the semis of the 200-meter breaststroke. So if I'm going off of that, I'm not overly optimistic about a medal for her, but that'll be something to watch here tonight.
I think we need to have Pat Forty on. I need to find out exactly what makes a fast pool and a slow pool. I'm very interested.
Lucas Oil seemed fast,
yeah,
right?
I mean, we always talk about this. I mean, you know this in golf. There'll be slow greens and there'll be, fast greens.
Look
and
at you
we talk
over
about,
there.
Well, we talk about it with race courses, whether it be IndyCar or be NASCAR. We talk about different tracks.
Lucas Oil turf is fast for the 40-yard dash, right? In the combine.
But I didn't think having a pool and throwing some water in it, we'd be able to figure out if it's a fast pull or a slow one.
Has anyone done like a pH scale test or anything like that? Seen what kind of chemicals are in there? Maybe that's slowing people
Sounds
down.
like Andy's basement could be having that here.
Well, it's not good. By the way, your boy Wyndham Clark in
I saw
golf,
he shot 1,000,000.
He's 57th right now. He shot a 4 over 75. Oh.
Well, and you probably should preface how many players are in the tournament.
60 of them,
just to emphasize what
He's 57th out of 60 right now.
What that means there. Yes, not good from old Wyndham Clark. Hideki Matsuyama, 8 under 63 against a 4-round tournament for Olympics in the golf. He is leading, but Xander Schauffele currently tied for second at 6 under, and he's got a handful of holes still left. So, boy, what a run for Xander here. Now, he's your defending gold medalist.
Yeah, I'm all in on him winning
He
gold.
won in
Let's
Tokyo,
go.
which obviously in Tokyo, that was Hideki had so much attention on him.
I'm telling you, man,
for it there.
Scheffler hasn't been the same since he got cuffed in Louisville.
I need to double check this, and it's quite the story, so I probably should have done some research on this, but I remember it being the case back in the Tokyo games, or maybe even going back to the Rio games, but the members of the Korean Olympic team, and again, I really hope I'm accurate on this, pretty sure you have mandatory military service in that country for their males. I want to say it's like by the age of 30.
Okay, I'll look this up. I'll Google it.
To get out of it.
It's 2 years, by the way. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. You have to go 2 years to the military.
To get out of it, you need to win an Olympic medal.
Oh, man. You know what? I think I remember talking about this on sports radio at a different time.
So, if I'm looking right here.
Unless they win a gold medal in the Olympics, yeah.
Ben An is from Korea right here, participating in the golf. Would Tom Kim be their other one? I think I saw Tom Kim flashing up on the screen earlier. Think about that.
Yeah, but you can't even get a bronze or a silver.
Like I thought it was any medal. Does it have to be gold?
Well, I just Googled it. 2-year mandatory military obligation unless they win a gold medal in the Olympics.
I mean, think about that pressure. I mean, like, Ben An is he's tied for 42nd. Like, should we be rooting for them?
Well,
I mean, who cares if Xander Schauffele gets another gold medal? Shouldn't we be rooting for the Koreans?
What if he went into the guys and was like, hey, I'm gonna have to go to the military unless I win this?
Can you imagine?
Like, would you guys lay down like Brett Favre laid down for Michael Strahan over a decade ago?
Ben An in a playoff for the gold medal. I mean, if you're Xander, don't you just 3-putt and take your silver and go home?
Is that a musty reference for me going to Brett Favre and Michael Strahan? That's the only one that I could think of. I mean, that's got to be 15 years ago. That reference.
Mark enjoyed it.
He did.
Yeah, I did.
By the way, Mark, I hate doing this. The Packers have a white helmet this year that they're putting on social media. Dude, that helmet is sweet. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I saw it. It's not so bad.
Have you seen that, KB? Look at that. That's a pretty sweet helmet.
Anything better than that hideous
nice.
green and gold.
Yeah, that's nice. I got to be honest, but
I kind of
yeah,
like
man.
that whole look for them.
I do. But yeah, going back to this, in Korea, once they turn 19, you're obligated to serve between 18 and 21 months in the military. So obviously these gentlemen are more than 19 years old. I assume they have not. I don't know if you get to choose. Like, hey, I'll do it when I'm 25. I'll do it when I'm 21. Like, I don't know how that works, but they have to win a gold medal to get the exemption. And that's a bad job by South Korea. I mean, the guy wins bronze.
A bad job is putting it lightly, I think there.
Bad job. The guy wins bronze. He shouldn't have to go to the military. Come on.
By the way, how about this? You know, 9:24 in the morning, I got a little nervous when I saw the text pop up on my phone. Shout out to my mother-in-law here, the great and very intelligent Lisa Lubbers. She just texts me and goes,
she's listening?
She goes, I believe the announcer for the swimming said that the pool is shallower or more shallow than a standard racing pool. Thus, more waves are created, which slows down the swimmer.
Why? Yeah,
Thank you.
Why would that be the case? Why would they make it more shallow than every other pool that these individuals has swam in? Why would you do that?
Shouldn't there be standards for it has to be Olympic
standard.
standards?
Yeah.
I guess two thoughts. One, Andy, I'm sure you'd be all over this. French conspiracy theory.
Sure. They want a shallow pool.
They want a slower pool to help out their racers.
Okay.
Now, I have no idea if there's evidence, metal evidence to back that up that's benefited them. But I would think just from a PR statement, you'd want a bunch of world records set at your pool, so now you can parade around for the next 3 years and be like, we had the most, world records ever set for an Olympics in our pool.
Yeah, I mean, plus, is it just to dog us? I mean, the Australians seem to be doing fine, right? It's the Americans. They're going to blame the Lucas Oil Pool, I'm telling you.
Do you like swimming first, track and field second?
Yeah, I do. I'm fine. I'm glad they split them up. I know, like, the Indy Star has started to do some exposés I saw this morning on a couple of the individuals.
Oh, they did Allie Wilson.
Yeah.
Shout out to Dana Benbow. Yeah, she did a big
Was
feature.
that who did it? Yeah.
On Allie Wilson, who we had on, about a month ago.
She was the nanny of the, what was it, the
McGinleys, right?
The 6 children, whatever it was. She's like, I think they have 6 children. She couldn't remember. So,
and if I'm not,
Cole Hawker as well.
Mark, maybe you can look this up. I feel like we're nearing Allie Wilson and Cole Hawker's track debut. I think they'll do a couple prelims here as we reach the end of swimming. And then obviously coming up next week, we'll get more into some track and field final stuff as well.
It's what I need. It's what the Sweeneys need. We need a nanny. That's what we need around the house. A nanny could figure out the plumbing situation.
Well, I don't know if a nanny necessarily is who you're looking for that.
Plumbing helps send towards Andy Sweeney's way.
I can't wait.
A guy named Roy or something like that. That's who you need.
A guy named Roy. I can't wait. I mean, we interviewed Cole and we interviewed Allie, and they got a chance to bring home some medals.
And by
here.
all accounts, that 1,500 meter for Cole Hawker, that's going to be a tremendous race. David Woods, who we had on earlier this week, was commenting on that. So looking forward to getting track and field underway here coming up in a bit. All right, pop quiz in a few. 317-239-1070 for that. Our prize will be that motocross tickets. I think the Bowens are going to make a state fair appearance here coming up this weekend. The motocross out there. We'll give away a 4-pack of tickets here for the pop quiz.
Well, wait a minute. So you're going opening weekend. That's brave, is it not?
Well,
you're going the first thing, first in line.
We're kind of balancing out, a little bit of camp schedule.
Sure.
And Saturday's an off day for the Colts.
Work stuff and everything else. Okay.
Yeah, I think I don't know.
He's got to go check out Keanu Reeves' band.
Is that Saturday?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Weekend? What was the name of them again?
Dog Star.
Dog Star, I think that's it. Yeah. And again, Keanu Reeves is like the bass player,
right, which is very confusing.
He's not even the lead guy.
Look at that.
How does that happen?
Taking a back role. Very nice.
He's an everyman.
From the legend of Keanu Reeves. All right, let's hit a morning checkdown.
The Morning Checkdown, brought to you by Butler Bulldogs Basketball. Season tickets are on sale now. Order by August 1st for your shot at the best seats in Hinkle Fieldhouse. Visit butlersports.com/buy tickets.
All right, like we do every hour, we start the morning check down with Colt Sound from training camp. Reminder again, off today. We'll be out there again tomorrow. Early practice tomorrow out there in Westfield, 9 to about 10:45. So an early morning practice if you're going to make the trip up whatever interstate you use or whatever roads you use. All right, so let's start with Gus Bradley, defensive coordinator. It was coordinator day yesterday at camp. One thing we haven't played, KB, the Samson Ebukam injury, guys stepping up. Obviously, Gus was asked about that yesterday. Here's what he had to say.
Whenever you lose a guy like Samson, I mean, a rusher like that, it's always difficult. But someone will step up to it, and we want to be 8 deep. So now it's like, well, who's going to be the next, group of 8? But, someone will step up, and I think everybody sees their role kind of change. And, some guys will get more reps now, and we'll get a chance to evaluate them. So our goal is still to get the 8, and now it might be with just someone else in that place.
I mentioned it earlier in the show. Tristan Wirfs of the Bucs just signed that big deal. Thought to be one of the best tackles in all of football. It was Ebukam who ended that Tampa Bay game late last year. Baker Mayfield starting to lead them on a drive, and oh no, is this another blown fourth quarter lead at home for the Colts? Boom, a play this team has been lacking for, I would say, a lot over the last couple of years. It's Ebukam that makes that play. Who's going to make it this year? Kwity Paye, Latu. I mean, those two names now take so much more of a front and center stage. So, again, Colts off today, 9 a.m. tomorrow, full pads expected to be on. Like I said, off day Saturday, Sunday, and Monday afternoon practices. So Monday will be an afternoon practice here coming up next week. All right, cue the Olympic sounder, Mark Dykton. Rajiv Ram, shout out to the Carmel tennis legend from back in the day. I believe Fighting Illini for a little Illinois action for Rajiv Ram, and he is advancing to the semifinals of the doubles. Yesterday, him and his partner beat Rafa Nadal and Carlos Alcaraz. That's a pretty good duo to beat.
That's unbelievable.
6-2, 6-4. So now into the semifinal. Obviously, if they win that one, they're guaranteed a medal. Other items of note today on the docket, you will get the all-around for the women's gymnastics. So certainly Simone Biles and I think Suni Lee as well for the Americans. Great chance to not only medal but potentially go 1-2 in that one. What do we got? U.S. women's basketball later today. And again, Lily King in the deep pool in Paris coming up.
or the shallow pool.
Shallow pool causing the waves coming up tonight in her final individual meet of her illustrious Olympic career.
Yeah, we need someone on Team USA swimming to stand up and say this is ridiculous.
Who's
it going to be?
3.5 feet of water. Like, this is absurd.
Well, and you know what? Again, shout out to my mother-in-law. She's continued to send some great info here. So we're at 2.15 meters deep, all right, in Paris. The standard was 3 meters used at the Tokyo and Rio games. So right now, the required minimum is 2.
Okay. Well,
they
we
went
can't
3
say
at
anything.
Tokyo and 3 at Rio.
Okay. Well, we can't say anything if they're within the threshold. I thought it had to be. I'm with Mark. I thought it had to be. It's like saying, well,
let's just blame the IOC.
Well, it's like on the Olympics, the basketball rim's not going to be 10 feet high. It's going to be 9 feet high. It's going to be 11 feet 5 inches.
There's a football field that's 80 yards long. Here you go.
Yeah. What are we doing? Anyway,
I don't
Team
get
USA basketball on the men's side, 103-86 over South Sudan. 6 different players in double figures. Bam Adebayo, probably the best.
Bam.
18-7, shot 8 of 2, hit a couple threes. So good job there, Team USA. Not so good, our guy Chris Giuliano did not qualify for the 50 free or the 200 free. So we interviewed him. He's got a gold medal. Figured I would give you an update there. That's all I had for the Olympics. Quickly, Major League Baseball. Cubs over the Reds 13-4. Cardinals all over the Rangers 10-1. Indianapolis Indians 7-5 over Toledo. They've won now 8 straight games. Good for them. And then NFL-wise, Texans Bears tonight. Houston Texans favored by 1, 8 o'clock on ESPN. And like you mentioned, the Bucs giving that massive deal to their left tackle, Tristan Wirfs, 5 years, $140. So good for him. Highest paid offensive line extension in the history of the NFL.
Did we ever fact check our CC Sabathia from earlier?
Okay,
I
so
think that,
it was the actual Indians.
Got it. Okay.
I guess it was...
Which, it's fine, because we got Bluey in the building this weekend. And bingo.
Here's what I think it was. We have, and I listen, I apologize if I'm wrong. We have our local ads on our website, 1075thefan.com, and then there's probably national ads that populate, and for some reason, a Cleveland Indians one.
Cleveland Guardians come out for CC Sabathia night.
Now, we are nearing Paul Skeen's bobblehead night over at Victory Field.
That is August 31st.
Now, that crowd is going to be huge.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Huge.
There'll be some guys lined up for those.
And you would like a bobblehead of his
yes, I
lady.
would.
Easy
yes,
now.
Sir.
Jeez.
You had that drop ready, didn't he?
I did, yeah.
Mark set himself up for that drop, I think.
Mark
got
knows
anything
full
else?
well what he's doing. How's the pop quiz look for today? Have you scanned it yet?
There's a 1946 question on there.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Okay,
it's not easy.
But you get tickets to the...
I don't know what to tell you. It's not easy.
You get tickets to the, 406 FMX High Air Tour.
Yeah,
If
nothing else, you might get embarrassed in the pop quiz, but you will get the motocross tickets.
You probably won't get the oil change, is what we're trying to tell you.
Probably an accurate statement.
So let's do that. 317-239-1070. Again, 239-1070. Load them up. Pop quiz coming up next. Wake up call 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Can you handle the pressure? Sharpen your pencils. It's time for the Pop Quiz with KB and Andy. Brought to you by Jiffy Lube, Indiana's favorite oil change since 1985.
All right, it is time for the Pop Quiz. I scrolled through it. I set the over-under at 1.5. 1.5 correct answers for today.
I'm with you. Again, during one of the breaks, Mark just kind of blurted out, what was it? This day in 1941. And I said, okay, Scotty's not going to be happy. We got a winner a couple days ago, and then Greg Rakestraw strutted up to the microphone yesterday and
he was
knew every single answer. I thought you guys set that up, or maybe you gave him the answers or something like that. But Rake knows what he's doing, so I don't want to blast Rakestraw. He knows what he's doing.
Now, the answer to number one, you said played at Baylor?
I think so. Yeah, I think you said that. No offense. I think I just went along with you on that. Did he? I believe he did.
I think that is right.
Yes, he did. 2 years at Baylor.
All right, give us a number here, 1 through 8.
Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Caller number 5 today. Mark, how does that sound?
Sure, that sounds like Scott.
Oh, Scott's. Hey, Scott.
Hey, guys.
Scott, you ready to go to the State Fair?
Absolutely.
You got a favorite, exhibit, place to visit at the old State Fair?
I usually enjoy the Ball State building with the cheese.
Look at that. Say no more. Say cheese, chirp, chirp.
Different.
Let's go. Yeah. Last year, we had those excellent grilled cheeses. Gosh, I'm now salivating thinking back to that. Open up tomorrow, State Fair. So looking forward to that. Well, Scott, congrats on the 4-pack of tickets for the motocross. I think this pop quiz is impossible, so good luck.
All right, let's start here. Question number 1, Scott. The U.S. men's Olympic basketball team ran its record in group play to 2-0 with a 103-86 win over South Sudan yesterday. Who was the game's leading scorer? Was it Bam Adebayo, Numi Omat, Kevin Durant, or Carlik Jones?
Omat.
It's a good start.
Right here. Katie Ledecky won her 8th gold medal, Scott, her 12th medal in Olympic competition, as she was in the pool for what seemed like 30 minutes in that 1,500-meter freestyle yesterday. Ledecky's 12 medals ties fellow Americans Natalie Coughlin, Jenny Thompson, and Dara Torres, along with Australia's Emma McEwen, for the most in Olympics women's swimming. Who is Ledecky tied with for the most Olympic gold medals in women's swimming with 8? Is it Coughlin, Thompson, Torres, or McEwen?
Dr. Thompson.
Dr. Thompson, he referenced it.
Boy, I like it.
Scott's
hit the
smart.
over on your prediction,
yeah,
Kevin.
Jeez, he told me to bleep off.
All right, question number 3. Who has won more gold medals in Olympic swimming? All right, so listen to this, okay? Is it the combination of Katie Ledecky, Natalie Coughlin, Jenny Thompson, and Dara Torres, or Michael Phelps all by himself? That's a great question.
Let's see. Phelps is at 28. I can't remember how many Coughlin won. The combination.
What an evil question by Scotty. Are you looking at the answer, KB?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Is it a combination Phelps or are they tied, Scott?
Oh. I didn't know they were tied. It was an option. Let's go with they're tied.
I know. Scotty couldn't. I mean, that's the meanest thing I've ever heard.
It is mean.
Usually I don't help out 2 for 2 starts, but I mean, come on. That was Scotty. Unbelievable. Happy 46th birthday to the Colts' all-time leading rusher. From gold teeth to gold jacket, he said in Canton, Ohio, X amount of years ago. Edgerrin James. James rushed again for 9,226 yards over his 7 years with the Colts. Who is second to Edge on the all-time rushing list? Is it Lydell Mitchell, Lenny Moore, Marshall Faulk, or Eric Dickerson?
Lenny Moore.
All right, question number 5, Scott. Final one. On this day in 1941, future Hall of Fame pitcher Lefty Gomez of the Yankees set a major league record that still stands today. Which record did he set? Okay, so listen up. 4 options. Most runs allowed in a no-hitter, most batters hit by pitches in an inning, most bases on balls allowed in a shutout, or most home runs allowed in an inning. Good luck.
Lefty Gomez, Hall of Famer. Most runs in a no-hitter.
Scott's a smart dude.
Scott, you did well. You did pretty good, man.
Scotty, how close is Jonathan Taylor to getting on that list? Seventh?
Seventh. Okay.
So could he get into that 5,000 range this season? So we could, at the end of the year, Jonathan Taylor could be the second all-time leading rusher in Colts history.
He might be third or fourth, something like that. He'll be top 5, Scotty said.
Second place is 5,487, and he only has 4,500. I mean, hell, I would hope Jonathan Taylor hopes for a 1,000-yard
like
season.
my over-under for Taylor's got to be 1,200 yards this year, 13. Is that wrong?
What did Chris Ballard say about him?
He's going to have a huge year. That's what he said.
All right, Scott, great effort there. He got the first 3 correct.
That is correct.
Numi Omats, Dr. Thompson, and Scotty's just, I don't know why Scotty did not put this as multiple choice. They're tied at 23.
Correcto.
Combination of the swimming. God,
That's an evil question.
Michael Phelps is a pretty decorated Olympian.
Yeah, he's pretty
is
good.
Is he your torchbearer in 2028?
Yes.
Your final one?
Uh-huh.
Co-torchbearers with Simone Biles or no?
No, that's a good question. In 4 years, is like they're another athlete. Do they have to be near the end? Like LeBron's not going to be in another Olympics. Could he have done it, before now? Sure. I mean, does it have to be? I'm asking this because I don't know. It's usually someone who's active, though. I mean, Phelps isn't active.
Well,
right?
Muhammad Ali certainly wasn't.
Oh,
right?
you mean torch? No, I was thinking flag bearers.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
torch
sorry,
bearers.
sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Michael Phelps is our greatest Olympian.
Phelps and Biles together, or no?
I'm fine with that. No, Biles is fantastic. Yeah, she's got another medal here at some point this week.
Yeah,
so.
I saw people discussing this. LA, of course, for 2028. Someone made a point. Tragically, sadly, if Kobe was still living, certainly it could be Kobe, given the LA
without a doubt
angle to it, and his Olympic resume there.
Without a doubt.
Okay. Did he miss 4 and 5? Was that the 2? Lydell Mitchell.
Yeah, Lydell Mitchell for 4, and then number 5, Lefty Gomez. He set a major league record that still stands today. That record is most bases on balls allowed in a shutout, 11. There was no way you have a 25% chance. There was no way Scott was getting that other than just guessing it right.
If Scott gets that, you got to worry about Scott. Literally.
So,
You got,
At least he got the motocross tickets. Reminder tomorrow, freebie Friday here on the Pop Quiz. All right, let's take a break. One final time. We'll wrap up Thursday's show. We'll do it next. Wake Up Call, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
It's the Wake Up Call with KB and Andy on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, I really hope I'm a man of my word here. My plan and goal is to not watch one play of the Hall of Fame game tonight. I don't want to watch one play of it live. Okay, that's my goal.
Why?
Now, let me preface by saying I'd like to see someone put the highlights of the kickoffs on Twitter so I can watch those.
I would imagine there'll be a mashup of some kind. That's actually a good point. That's one thing I actually do want to see. But yeah, I mean, of course, the game tonight is just going to be a bunch of third stringers and, whatever else. So I will not watch very much of it, but I am not going to be you and saying I will not watch a play. I will watch a play, but I don't know if I'll watch 10 plays. How does that sound? Maybe somewhere between 10 or 11 plays, and that's probably going to be it for your boy.
I do genuinely mean I'm curious what the kickoff looks like. For those that have been out to Colts practice so far, it's kind of wild to watch them operate in special teams drills with the kickoff. Like, bouncing balls and Kenny Moore's returning kicks, and, it's just weird and looks different. I mean, I don't think it's the automatic go to the bathroom.
Oh, it's not.
Know that the touchback is coming. It's going to be something. I don't know if it'll be the most entertaining thing, but it certainly will be a little bit more than what we've had in years past.
Yeah, I give the NFL actually credit. I mean, I know when the concussion stuff, and it's still a big story, but it was like one of the main stories where, people who weren't following the NFL or sports were becoming invested in, hey, what's going on with all the concussion stuff. There was the movie, wasn't Will Smith in the movie
Yes.
before he slapped Chris Rock and everything else?
Ironically gave Chris Rock a concussion
Yeah, he did.
after a movie.
Like, when that was going on, okay, so they did away with the kickoff, but the kickoff was the dumbest play in sports. I mean, it was a nothing play. There was no reason for it. It was just one of the dumbest things in sports. So I think changing it, or at least attempting to make it not, hey, go to the bathroom for 5 minutes, I think that is a good thing. So I give the NFL actually credit for trying something. We'll see what it looks like. Can you help me here? So we had Josh Downs on a couple days ago. And Downs has been one of the guys that's been back there for the Colts.
Yeah, they've had about a dozen dudes.
Yeah, not only for kickoffs, but for punts. And we saw that last year, him return punts when McKenzie went through whatever the hell Isaiah McKenzie went through. And I bring that up because, Josh Downs is going to be second on this team in catches. He's going to be probably second on the team in catches and second on the team in targets, and you already see that early on in practice. I know you had the countdown, or you had the breakdown. He might have more catches than Pittman right now
so
through
far.
5 practices.
Yes, he does. Yep.
And who knows what ultimately that means. My point being is, it's not all the time that you put back there one of those types of players. And so, I think as it goes in these preseason games, for me, it's like, hey, Kenny Moore is uber valuable to your corner and to that secondary. Josh Downs could lead you in catches, or at least will be second. So are you going to put high-priced commodities back there for this kickoff now that the play matters, or is it going to be a guy like Anthony Gould? Now, help me here if you don't mind. We had Downs on. And I'm blanking. Downs kind of gave us that information? Did he say that he thought it might be Flowers?
Yeah, he mentioned
who was going
Dallas
to be the guy?
Flowers, who has been the guy recently before he tore his Achilles.
So that's going to be the leader in the clubhouse for this stuff. Do you believe that? Because Downs sure made it sound like that was the case.
I guess, but again, a lot of this has to do with roster mechanics. I mean, didn't you draft Anthony Gould for a reason?
Well, I thought he would be the guy.
If Anthony Gould's on your 53-man roster, then I would assume that's a role you would want him. Now, right now, Dallas Flowers is probably just outside of the cornerback rotation. I would call it Juju Brents and Jalen Jones as the guys above him on the depth chart. Obviously, Kenny Moore is a mainstay. But, maybe you get into certain instances late in games where it's like, hey, ball security on a bouncing kickoff matters a whole lot, and we just need Kenny to get on it. And it's a little bit like the onside kick lane,
right?
When you put your couple of guys you want to field the onside kick out there. So I do think at some point, and the broadcast will try to do this, or at least they should try to do it. But I just think the NFL needs to try and send out some 90-second, 2-minute-long video of this is the play, these are the rules, let it go viral on social media so fans have an idea. Because, I don't even know fully what's going on here with this play. And, you would think that someone that covers the team should know that. So I think it'd be well served just to get a little bit of an actual. All right, this is what we're looking at. These are some highlights. I know they might be hesitant. The XFL. We don't want to totally act like we're stealing from them. Put your egos to the side and let your fans have a great idea exactly what this newish play is going to look like.
Yeah, I'm interested if they'll do that after maybe tonight's game, right? Because they don't want to use XFL. Who cares? You're the NFL. Go get some players out there and do a reenactment. All these shows on ESPN, Fox, and CBS, they have a fake field out there for Michael Strahan and Jimmy Johnson to, reenact stuff, for Terry Bradshaw to reenact stuff. So come on.
Gotta love this quote from Scotty Scheffler. He was at the women's gymnastics performance, and Suni Lee face planted off the uneven bars during the warm-ups. He has to describe that in golf. He goes, "It'd be like a shank and someone simultaneously punching you in the face."
Well, and I thought he might make a joke about the handcuffs, but I guess not. J&B at 3, Query and Company at noon. Have a good afternoon right here on The Fan.